T, and he actually came to the rescue of one of the Secret Service officers who was shot when Reagan was shot. And that was scary. But again, I don't care if you're Democrat, or Republican, an independent, whatever the case may be. That is, we say we can't stand for it, but I don't know how you stop it. There's lunatics out there. So a 20-year-old, I'm going to say kid. I think it was his dad's rifle. Kid still has acne, for goodness sakes. And yesterday, I was glued to the television. On Saturday, a lot of you probably were as well. And then on Sunday, the reports, even when President Biden is saying, we got to find out why this happened. Well, first of all, the guy's dead. You're not finding out what happened, why he did it. I could guess why he did it. But that's not important. What's important is how it happened. And that's why I kind of went off a little bit on the whole. I mean, we're very quick to just pat the Secret Service on the back, and they should be applauded for their quick response to protect the ex-president, but also to try to find the shooter, which they did almost immediately, and take him out. But in a little area in rural Butler, Pennsylvania, not to be able to protect the ex-president by going beyond the perimeters of the event itself. The event itself out in the open, but you had to go through security. You had to go through metal detectors. But how do you not even think for a second that there could be danger outside the perimeter? I understand if you're doing a speech in New York or somewhere where there's building after building after building after building, purchase after purchase after purchase, and you can't cover every area. But there was only a few buildings out there. And you didn't have protection at all those buildings. And then as quickly as those people that were there pointed out the gunman, he had shot a few times. And if Trump had not moved his face a little bit, he's dead. And we're watching that on television. Nobody needs to see that. President Biden saying all the right things. Again, no, you can't have that. In a democracy, you are giving every person that's a citizen of this country the entitlement and the right to vote. That's how you determine who is in office and who's not. That's the only way it can be. And, again, I don't care what the reason was. The kid tried to snuff him out right on the eve of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. But, again, I look at this kid and go, oh, my God, kid still has acne. He's out maneuvering, out thinking the Secret Service. He got up there, 140 yards away, line of sight. That's what they should. That's the only thing they should be focusing on. So, again, it's tragic that the gentleman lost his life. Some others were injured. Very, very hectic scene. And that took over the weekend. I mean, certainly took over Saturday for most people in this country that have a conscience anyway. I don't care, again, what your political affiliation is. So that was awful. That was awful. Then, and look, there's going to be every single day people of notoriety that pass away. Of course, people in our own community and in our families, and that's not every day. But from a notoriety standpoint, famous people, happens every day. Happened a lot over the weekend, though. This was shocking to me. Jacoby Jones. Do you remember Jacoby Jones in the Super Bowl?
I do.
How good he was in Super Bowl 47. The all-time record for the longest touchdown in Super Bowl history, kickoff return of 108 yards. I remember watching that. I couldn't believe it. 108 yards. And then he also caught a touchdown pass in that game for the Ravens. Super Bowl champion, 40 years old. No cause was announced, so I don't know what the deal is. All I know is that this guy was way too young to die. 40 years old. So another sports figure that unfortunately loses his life. How about the young man from the University of Oregon? Excuse me. Who was just drafted by the Minnesota Vikings?
Is it Kyrie Thomas?
Yes, and died in the car accident, right? Late last week. I mean, how tragic is that? But then you have Jacoby Jones again. He had retired. He was 40, but still 40. Young. Shannon Doherty died, who was an actress. Memphis born. Did you know that? I don't know if you know who Shannon Doherty is from 90210. I didn't watch that show. I know of the show. But Shannon Doherty died of breast cancer at just age 53. But she was born in Memphis. And then the family moved out to California, I guess, to get her career started. She started as a young actress. Richard Simmons, the guru of fitness, who was a colorful character. I never thought the guy was in shape, but I guess he was. He was doing all those videos and all that stuff. He passed away. I think he was 76. Somebody who lived a long life and was pretty, let's just say, different. Dr. Ruth. Do you know who Dr. Ruth is or was?
Mm-mm.
She was a sex therapist. And she seemed like when I was...
Oh.
It seemed like she died 30 years ago, but she didn't. She just died over the weekend.
Yeah, I think one of her videos was on Twitter like a couple years ago, and I just stumbled upon it. I was like, why is this on my feed?
Yeah, with the accent, Dr. Ruth, whatever it was. She was old back then, and it was weird just listening to her talk about sex. Anyway, she lived a long life. She passed away. And Dave Loggins, a name that probably doesn't ring a bell to a lot of people out there. Now, maybe some of you go, Dave Loggins, is that Kenny Loggins' brother? Not. Is it? Because there was always the thing, was Kenny Loggins and Messina? No. That was Dave Loggins. But Dave Loggins was a solo artist as well. He wrote a hit called Please Come to Boston. But he's also known, and I'm bringing it all around back to sports, for creating the Masters theme. Can you pull that up? The Masters theme with the words to it. Now, this is crazy. I always knew that Dave Loggins had created the theme to the Masters. And when we watch the Masters, we hear that music, and you know it's the Masters. Anybody out there who's a golf fan or just a fan of the Masters and has watched it, you've heard that music. But there's words to that song. Do you have it?
Not give me
take your time.
Right about now.
All right, go ahead and play it. It's strange. So here's the music that everybody knows, right? You've heard this music, right? Listening to the Masters. Then the velvet tones of Jim Nance. This is the one with the words, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't find the one with the words.
All right, find the one with the words. Because it's going to blow people away that there's actually words to this song. But Dave Loggins passed away. So again, it was one of those weekends. You always have days with notable people and famous people, right? There's so many of them that it's going to happen probably each and every day. It's rare when it's not. But this was especially sad over the weekend when guys like Jacoby Jones at 40, Shannon Doherty at 53 pass away. This is it? Here you go.
It's the August National and the Master who wear that green coat on Sunday.
This is real.
This is weird.
Walk that 18th fair,
Isn't it?
singing this tune. August, your dogwoods and pines.
I never knew it had words until I think last year is when I first heard the song with the words. But everybody knows the music. Isn't that wild? So Dave Loggins, he passed away over the weekend as well. Wow. What a weekend. Again, away from the world of sports, but we bring it back again with a guy who created the theme to the greatest golf event on earth. Now, speaking of golf, they had the Scottish Open over the weekend, and this week it's the Open Championship. Tomorrow, Steve Sands is scheduled to join us from Royal Troon. Sands called the celebrity golf tournament, that Century, whatever it is called, out in Tahoe. He does every year. And Marty Fish, the former tennis player, who last year was denied the championship by Steph Curry. Steph Curry had an incredible putt on 18, but Steph unable to play this year, unable to defend his title because he's with the Olympic team. And Marty Fish was able to come through this time around. But the Scottish Open, Adam Scott leads. He's up a couple strokes. Robert McIntyre, who won the Canadian Open, eagles the 16th, I believe, and then on 18, he rolls in a long birdie. Had to be about 18, 20 feet, and he wins the Scottish Open. Last year it was Rory McIlroy winning. This year it's Robert McIntyre. Just because you win the Scottish Open doesn't mean you're going on to win the Open Championship. But we'll talk much more about that tomorrow with Steve Sands, and then a little later on in this show at 9:05 when Joe Tomek joins us. The Major League Baseball All-Star break is upon us. The Home Run Derby is tonight in Arlington. It's still an event that people like, I believe. Wouldn't you say, Zach? People still like the Home Run Derby?
I think so.
It hasn't gone the way of the slam dunk, right? We are not sick of it.
No.
The thing is, they keep adding rules, though. They keep changing the rules, and so those rules again have been altered for tonight. I'll have to watch it and just go along with it and figure it out along the way. Eli had the rule changes the other day and talked about them on the air, and still it was confusing to the both of us. But here are the odds for tonight. Pete Alonso, who's become a stalwart in the home run derbies in recent years, is the favorite at plus 300, Met slugger. Then Adolis Garcia, who was one of the late additions, the former Memphis Redbird, who played for and plays for the world champion Texas Rangers. He's a plus 350. Now, he's a good home run hitter, but maybe he gets the nod as one of the favorites is because he's playing in his home ballpark. Marcell Ozuna for the Braves at plus 450, and he's hit a lot of bombs this year. Then Gunnar Henderson, who's just fun to watch for the Orioles, young guy, plus 550. Bobby Witt Jr., another young player, talented player for the Royals, plus 600. Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers, plus 1,000. Jose Ramirez of the Guardians, plus 1,200. And Alec Boehm of the Phillies, my Phillies, is plus 1,600. So if you're looking for the longest long shot on the board, it's Alec Boehm at plus 1,600. By the way, the Phillies got an additional all-star over the weekend, giving them 8 all-stars, which is the most ever for tomorrow night's Midsummer Classic. But again, the Home Run Derby will take place tonight. All right, we'll take our first break. When we come back, open up the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines to you at 901-360-8255. We'll talk Grizzlies and the NBA 2K Summer League in Las Vegas. Also, SEC Media Days gets underway at 10 o'clock. Make that 9 o'clock today with remarks from Commissioner Greg Sankey, the 4-day event in Dallas this year. Speaking of events, they got a great sale going on at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. Where are you driving this summer? You going to the beach? You heading to the lake? How about the mountains? Anywhere you want to go, you can drive in luxury with a vehicle from All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. They have hundreds of new and pre-owned Silverados. Some marked 12% off invoice. Add up the All-Star special discounts, and you're going to get an amazing deal. Plus, you can look for the Costco membership deal. This is the first I've heard of that. So if you're a Costco membership, you're going to get something off. It's one sweet buyer's market currently with financing as low as 1.9%, no payment for 90 days. on a bunch of the new All-Star Chevys. Nothing beats road trips in a beautiful new Tahoe. Get an extra $500 bonus if you're in healthcare, an educator, a college grad, military, or first responder. No matter what pre-owned you're looking for, they have it there in Olive Branch. Jeeps and 4Runners, Expeditions and Navigators, all the trucks you're looking for. Head on down there and test drive them starting today. Bring any vehicle you want to sell. You get a big check today as well. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's special summer sale. It's going on right now in Olive Branch. You can also check out these great vehicles online at allstarautogroup.com. Just underway on a Monday morning. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
One of the key things that separates Genesis Diamonds from other jewelry stores is nobody's paid on commission. Vice President Nina Abraham says Genesis Diamond experts are never incentivized to get you to spend more or to buy something that's not in your budget.
Doesn't matter how much you spend. If you spend $500 or $50,000, the main focus is finding the perfect engagement ring or missing jewelry or sales tactics.
So when you walk into Genesis Diamonds, you can relax, take your time, get the education you deserve, and make a decision that's best for you, not the salesperson.
They can trust us. It's a huge, huge difference when you know that that person is just going to focus on what I want, what I am looking for, not what they want to sell.
No pressure, no risk, no pricing games, no nonsense. At Genesis, it's about making you happy.
It's for life. It's a customer for life. It's a relationship for life.
Genesis Diamonds, your luxury pre-owned Rolexes, and operating records extended.
I'm Ina Abraham, and my accent is always on value.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
You watch sports. You listen to sports. Now let's talk sports. Well, not anymore, because Sports 56 is opening the airwaves overnight. From 12 midnight till 6 a.m. for people like you to talk sports during your own 1-hour radio talk show on Sports After Dark. It's for 1 hour. Tell us what's really on your mind regarding sports. Your favorite sports team, favorite player, discuss pre-games, post-games, all games. Let's talk. Reputation is required. Interested applicants must contact the podcast center at gmail.com or call 901-468-3097. That's the podcast center at gmail.com or 901-468-3097. Amateur and professional talk show hosts encouraged to apply.
Required orientation is Saturday, July 20th, or you can take it online at your leisure at the podcast center, Memphis.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call getgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the
Good morning. Starting to crank up a little bit more volume in the last few minutes out here on 240 East and westbound around Mill Branch. Still looks good right now, even though it's gotten a little bit heavier on 40 East across the Hernando de Soto Bridge. It's just that time of the morning for that to build there. Coming in from West Memphis, still not bad down I-40 over here around Germantown Parkway. Havenly Showers is your curbless showers specialist. Transform your bathroom with a tub to curbless shower conversions. Log on today, havenlyshowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:28 the time. Greg Gaston, Zach Boyd, Eli off today. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. It was quite the weekend. Another thing that happened in the world of sports, and I'll talk more about it in depth later on in the show, is the Major League Baseball amateur draft got underway last night. And a Memphis product taken in the first round by the Minnesota Twins, Kalen Culpepper, who prepped at St. Benedict of Auburndale, went on to play at Kansas State. Congratulations to Kalen Culpepper. I wonder if anybody out there who knows him, or if they do know him, know if he's kin to Randy Culpepper. Do you remember him, Zach? Randy Culpepper? The basketball player played at UTEP?
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
Remember
Yeah.
Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a relationship there. But Kalen Culpepper, drafted in the first round by the Minnesota Twins. Congratulations to him. Let's go to the Sissy's Log Cabin Lister lines for the first time today. You can hit us up. Call in, text in, 901-360-8255. Our buddy Tony is dialed up. Hey, Tony.
Hey, how you doing, Greg? I
I'm
want to
good.
totally agree with you about the mishaps with former president and the Secret Service. But I think if you remember back, there's been several incidents over the last 10 years with the Secret Service and missteps with Obama and Trump.
Yes.
Where they've been abroad and people got in hotels and all this kind of stuff. So, but the other tragic thing in our country is that the promotion of how people are able to just broadcast their guns. And trust me, I'm a gun owner. You should be, but you can't put toothpaste back in the tube and glorify certain things by people in the magnitude they are. We got more guns in this country than we got people.
Yep.
And at some point, we're supposed to be more civil. You got two candidates that I've never seen the country so divided in all my life. It's bad that we can disagree on sports and laugh and talk, and we can disagree on that. But why is it that in political realm that people fall out or don't talk to family members and all this kind of stuff?
It's crazy.
And it's just brewing. This has been brewing for a long time, and people need to step back because we've been having these type of events going on, whether it's been in schools, nightclubs, whatever. And in this state, you can walk down the street with an AK-47 and the police can't arrest you.
Tony, how about the softball celebrity game they were having? And I don't know if it was a senator. He got attacked. Pelosi's husband in their house got attacked.
In their house.
Come on, man. What is
we
going
are more
on?
violent than we have ever been before as a country, the United States of America. And if you cannot agree to disagree in a civil manner, that's almost like that's a mental issue. And we need to evaluate mental issues more instead of stigmatizing it as people as crazy. We need to find solutions on mental issues, bring them to the forefront. And guns are not the answer to everything.
Yeah, I'd
So,
also like to know. I'd also like to know about the father. How I know he's 20, he's not 12, but how he got his hands on the gun, the whole thing. It just, man, oh man.
Easy because people leave their guns around without trigger and they just leave them around the house.
A lot of it is it's parents too. A lot of it is parents. It's just I looked at that kid. I go, are you kidding me? This kid's still using acne medicine. He's out there. He was inches away, millimeters away from taking out a former president. This guy. When all the Secret Service are right there and nobody's what? How does that even happen?
You don't think he's been taking target practice before?
I'm sure.
That's pretty accurate. But and to be as far as he was, but luckily, good prevailed then.
Yeah.
But have a wonderful day, man.
You too, Tony. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with what Tony had to say. And again, it merited a little conversation today on this particular show, even though we normally stay away. But I agree 100%. I've never seen a situation worse than what we're in now as far as the division of the country. And again, it's a democracy. Just vote. Vote your conscience. If Trump wins, then Trump wins. If Biden wins, then Biden wins. We going to shoot up the world because that happens? Oh, boy. All right, let's get back to sports. NBA 2K Summer League started on Friday. The Grizzlies were in action and played the Kings. Tonight, the Grizzlies will play 7 o'clock Central tip. So one of the later games for us here on the Central time zone. Normally, they're playing late afternoon. You get a game at like 5 o'clock. This one's at 7 Central, so not late by any stretch of the imagination. But they're playing Dallas tonight. Now, the Grizzlies played the Kings on Friday. Did you watch? Zach, did you get a chance to see the Grizzlies on Friday?
I did.
I did too. Zach Edey did not play.
No.
Okay. Ankle sustained in the first game in Salt Lake City, a game in which he went back into the game almost immediately and played. And I said, watch, the whole bubble wrap thing. Guy can get hurt. Guy can get hurt walking around in Vegas, for goodness sakes, going to dinner. But this is the world we live in where organizations are more protective of their investments. And I know that they've said he'll probably play. I will be surprised now if he plays. To me, if he doesn't play tonight, I don't think he's playing. I'm starting to think that, and Taylor Jenkins said that he thought that he would play. He didn't say he would play for sure. But I'm starting to think that they got this guy in bubble wrap and he ain't going to play. What do you think?
I think he will play. I don't think it's like one of those definite type of injuries where it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to sit you out. But I think considering the fact that it happened in the first game in the Salt Lake City,
right?
And it was like 3, and pretty much they were playing back to back to back in Salt Lake City before they made their flight over to Vegas. To Las Vegas,
right?
I think it was just a precautionary move, just to give him an extra day, just to make sure he's good. There's no other lingering issues, and I think he plays today.
Well, the game he played in the first game in Salt Lake City was what? Last Monday?
Tuesday?
It's been a week, basically.
Monday,
It's
Tuesday,
almost been a week, not quite a week. And I'm telling you, if he doesn't play tonight, I don't think he's playing. The fear that organizations have, it's not just the Grizzlies. Now, the Grizzlies are one of the most overcautious organizations I've ever seen. Ever. And it's not just, and I shouldn't say the organization, it's the people now running the show. It hasn't always been that way through the course of the history of the organization. I mean, there was a time when NBA draft workouts, when they brought players in, was open to the media. They weren't there the entire workouts, but they were there to interview afterwards. You knew the players that were coming in. Now it's super secretive. You don't know which players have come, which players said thanks but no thanks, whatever. You don't get any information. And that's fine. That's their prerogative. We don't have to have it. But as the media, you want to have it, but we don't have to have it. And you're not going to get that information on injuries. You're just not. They're very secretive with that as well. I'm just trying to put myself into their shoes. What will they get out of playing Edey again? Other than another game of experience. But they're so concerned. If they are that concerned, it's going to worry me to death that every time this guy leaves his house or apartment, they're going to be worried that he doesn't fall over his feet or something. And it's not like this guy's uncoordinated. He's a very coordinated, extremely athletic big man. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. We talked about Paul Skeens being pulled 99 pitches, cruising along with a no-hitter. Second time this year that's happened. Second start, he went through 6 innings of no-hit ball. Yank him. Again, yank him. Okay. Your prerogative. I understand that. But there are pitchers who pitch a lot of innings and throw a lot of pitches and never get hurt. And then there's pitchers who don't pitch as many innings and throw as many pitches, and they do get hurt. There's no rhyme or reason. And again, with basketball injuries, they can happen on the court, or injuries in general can happen off the court. But again, what do they get out of it now? They saw him in that first game go up against Walker Kessler, for goodness sakes, and not only hold his own, at times dominate. So maybe I'll be wrong. I will be surprised if he plays now. I will. But we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. Tonight, 7 o'clock versus Dallas. In the meantime, the game on Friday against the Kings, they won by 20. Jake LaRavia, again, I don't know what else you want from Jake LaRavia. He's played great in the Summer League. Does that transfer to the regular season? Does he become a rotation player? He had 22 points. We saw him play well at times during the end of the last season when you had a 10-day contract. He shot the ball well at times. At other times he didn't. I don't know. But if LaRavia, I think G.G. Jackson, he should be the one getting those minutes and not LaRavia. But I don't know what their frame of mind will be going into the season. But LaRavia has done everything they've asked for in the Summer League. Leagues, I guess I should say. So I don't know how much more we see of LaRavia. G.G. Jackson had 17 and 7 in that game. Scottie Pippen Jr., 16 points, 5 steals. He's been really, really good. Trey Jemison playing a lot more because of Edie not playing. 8 points, 8 rebounds. Cam Spencer, starting, 15 points, 3 of 5 threes. How impressed are you with Cam Spencer?
I'm glad that his game has translated into the NBA or into this version of the NBA right now. I've been saying it since he got drafted. John Conchar's days are numbered because of Cam Spencer. Because he and Conchar does similar things.
You think Spencer's as good an athlete as Conchar? Conchar is a great rebounder. Great rebounder.
He is. I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying from a standpoint of, like, Cam can get the rebound too for his size, and we saw and I saw that in the championship game. If it wasn't one of the bigs that was grabbing the boards, it was Cam Spencer.
He has an energy like no other.
Yeah, and then the fact that he can knock down his threes. There were like so many transition threes that he has that he took in these games. And he was making them that made me feel like, okay, like I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but at some point, Cam is going to be on the main roster.
He's going to have a lot of opportunities in South Haven to showcase what he can do. I don't know if he's multidimensional. I know he's an Energizer bunny, and he could shoot the rock. And it's good to have a guy on the team, at least a couple guys that could shoot the rock. We know that Desmond can, certainly, consistently. And we know that Kennard can, assuming that he's back. And I think it's a pretty good assumption they'll iron something out. Jalen Wells did not play well. He did have the big game in Salt Lake City when he had 27 points. But it's a learning experience for both these guys. That's why you take it with a grain of salt, the Summer League play. Now, Edie's a little bit different because they're going to depend on him. I don't see where he's not starting to begin the season. Knock on wood, healthy and all that stuff. Spencer and Wells are projects. They're second-round picks. But they're good projects. They're good players to take chances with. So again tonight, Dallas and the Grizzlies at 7. Elsewhere over the weekend, and if you wanted to watch Summer League, there was a game it seemed like on every second. Time to pile on Bronny. It's that time of the show. Brought to you by Tide. For all those dirty clothes, Tide. Rockets beat the Lakers 99-80. Bronny James, 3 of 14 from the field, 0 of 8 from 3, 8 points. Afterwards saying he's fine with any assignment that the Lakers end up giving him going into the season. Oh, really, Bronny, are you? Why don't you tell Dad that you need a starting position? But Bronny is not good. Doug Gottlieb. You know Doug Gottlieb. He is now the coach at Green Bay while still doing his radio show, which is weird.
Yes.
He came out and said, he either said that Bronny James would not start for his team or he would have a tough time starting on his team. It may have been the latter. Either way, Bronny James on Green Bay. That's University of Wisconsin at Green Bay. That's what we're talking about here. What?
Okay.
What? I mean, come on. You know, I know you can pile on Bronny, but that's ridiculous.
Okay, so here's my thing. Is Bronny kind of getting the whole treatment of because he's the son of a former great? Yes, he is.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get that out of the way because I'm tired of hearing that.
But he's also taking the shots because he's the son,
right,
of the great LeBron James.
I'm tired of it. It's over and done with. Now, Bronny, in his own right, in his own merit, was a McDonald's All-American. Now, that doesn't mean anything as far as NBA wise,
right? There have been some who have failed.
He is talented enough to start somewhere. Now, it took a heart condition for him not to play his best basketball at the start of his collegiate career at USC. And he still couldn't, and he was still trying to find his way from that. I think over time he will find his legs. But if, again, and I always have to tell people this, he was he was drafted at 55 for a reason. It's not because everybody doesn't want him. No, it's just
he was drafted for a reason. Yeah, his father wanted him on the team. That's the only reason why he was drafted.
That's that's it. But regardless, I'm not faulting the Lakers or LeBron for drafting Bronny, and I'm not faulting Bronny for jumping into the NBA.
No, I'm not faulting Bronny. It's not Bronny's fault. He's going to take the brunt. There's going to be jokes. I'll continue to do so. I hope the guy shows everybody what he's capable of doing because I know he has talent and he proves everybody wrong. But he's supposed to be a shooter. You know, the heart thing was one thing. He's played a lot since then. And he doesn't seem like he's that good. But we'll see. But again, 0 for 8 from 3, 3 of 14 from the field. Dalton Knecht, on the flip side, had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Lakers, I think, got lucky. I think Dalton Knecht's going to be a good player. I'm not saying he's Austin Reeves, but they found another white guy who could play basketball, and I think Knecht's going to be really good. A couple of other notes from Summer League. Amani Bates playing for the Cavaliers, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. I said it before. I'll say it again. I know it didn't work out with Memphis, Zach, but Amani Bates, you knew right from the get-go the guy had the talent. He had the talent. And I don't know how much of a factor he'll be with the Cavaliers for the upcoming season, but he'll be back on the team, and that's really good for this young man who went through a couple of different episodes in his young career, eventually going to, Eastern Michigan?
Yes.
And then on to the NBA. Josh Minot from Minnesota looks great. We knew the athlete he was in Memphis. He's starting to fill out.
Yeah.
He's starting to get stronger. And he is fun to watch. He could hit the three, and he could dunk on anybody. So watched him. He looked good. And then there was the bad news. Deron Holmes, 22nd overall pick by the Nuggets, torn Achilles likely out for the season. So that's the second first-round guy that's got hurt. Devin Carter, who will miss at least 6 months before they reevaluate him after is it shoulder?
Yeah.
Shoulder surgery. And now Holmes out for the year.
Yeah, it's rough.
Again, what are you supposed to do? You want to play these guys, but then again, you have to be cautious, although you know they can get hurt just playing pickup. I mean, Zach Edey can come back and play pickup with guys at FedEx Forum and get hurt. So what do? You got to juggle that. I mean, it's not the coach's fault for Denver for playing Deron Holmes. Are you supposed to draft these guys and not play them at all? You might as well get rid of Summer League then, if that's the case.
Oh, they can't do that.
No, they can't. They won't. But it's worrisome, though. But what are you supposed to do? I think you have to play these guys and get a feel for what they're like playing within the system. But again, that's why I'll be very surprised if Edey suits up tonight. I'm not saying I would be completely shocked, but I'd be very surprised, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Lawn Solutions is a locally owned weed control fertilization company that serves the greater Memphis area. Brandon Holly and his team of professionals can take care of your lawn today. Just give Brandon a call at 901-867-5626 or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. They'll rid you of those weeds. They can kill any or take care of any disease your lawn has, any insect infestation, whether it be grub worms or molds, whatever the case may be. They can fix the problem for you. They control the germination of weeds all year long, applying post-emergence during the summer months, pre-emergence during the winter months. So again, it's 12 months a year they're taking care of your lawn. For more, call them again at 901-867-5626. Tell Brandon you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings or go online to lawnsolutionsinc.net. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Ken Garland, you are in your 72nd year of business. Your son William is now joining you. What do you think is the key to your longevity in the building business?
My dad started the business in 1965, and I think being on the job sites daily and being accessible to homeowners has been a key to our success.
You guys have a work ethic, as you like to say. You're not hiring people to be on the site. You guys are there every day.
We interact with the subcontractors multiple times a day on each job site. I think that has been a key, as well as using the same subcontractors 20 plus years in most cases.
When you talk about materials, what is the first thing you're thinking about when somebody comes to you to build a home?
We're just trying to meet the expectations of the client and the homeowner and the architect and give them what their dream is.
When you get a Ken Garland home, what do you guarantee?
We'll be there after the job is finished. We're still accessible to all our clients.
Now I need to know, how do I get a hold of Ken Garland?
You can reach us at kengarland.com.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wallow said hello.
Get a $10 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 Full Synthetic Motor Oil in-store or online.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:52 the time. Major League Baseball amateur draft got underway last night. Today, by the way, it's rounds 3 through 10. That'll begin 1 o'clock Central Time. And then tomorrow, rounds 11 through 20. But the overall number one pick, Travis Bazzana from Oregon State, the Australian, the second baseman, taken by the Cleveland Guardians. Yes, the Guardians, despite being in first place this year in the American League Central, have the number one pick, and they took Travis Bazzana. The Reds came back with Chase Burns, the right-handed pitcher from Wake Forest, Charlie Condon, the outfielder from Georgia, the Golden Spikes Award winner, led all D1 hitters with a .433 average and 37 home runs. He goes to the Rockies. And with that altitude out there, I'm sure he's going to hit a bunch of bombs. The A's took Nick Kurtz, first baseman from Wake Forest. So Wake Forest had 2 of the top 4 picks. Hagen Smith, the lefty from Arkansas, goes to the White Sox at number 5. The White Sox have almost 5 or 6, maybe half a dozen players from the University of Arkansas on their roster. The Royals took Jack Caglione, the first baseman, left-handed pitcher, dual threat from Florida. He goes 6. And then the Cardinals come back with J.J. Weatherholt, the shortstop from West Virginia. He missed a bunch of the season with a hamstring injury, but people look at him, baseball purists, as one of the top pure hitters in the league. He's a left-handed hitter, can drive the ball to all fields. Some scouts felt there wasn't much separation from him and the number 1 overall pick, Bazzana. So Weatherholt goes to the Cardinals. I know they're extremely happy. And then the electric Tennessee Volunteer second baseman, Christian Moore, goes to the Angels at number 8. Good for Christian Moore. Maybe not so good that it's the Angels. The Angels haven't been good since the Millard Fillmore administration. But Christian Moore is one heck of a player. Connor Griffin, the shortstop from Jackson Prep in Mississippi, went to the Pirates, 9. Seaver King, shortstop, Wake Forest, goes to the Nats, number 10. So that is 3 Demon Deacons in the top 10. 3 Demon Deacons. How about that? Tigers at number 11 took Bryce Rainier, the shortstop from Harvard Westlake High School in California. So deciding to not go the route of college. Of course, if you go to college, it's 3 years before you're eligible to be drafted. The Red Sox at number 12 took Braden Montgomery, the outfielder from Texas A&M. The Giants got James Tibbs III, outfielder from Florida State. Another Seminole, back-to-back. The Cubbies taking Cam Smith, third baseman. Then the Mariners, Gerangelo Shajante, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the pitcher for Mississippi State. He goes in the first round. The Marlins took P.J. Morlando, the outfielder from Somerville High School in South Carolina. The Brewers, Braylon Payne, another high school kid, outfielder from Texas. The Rays at number 18 took Theo Gillen, another high school kid, Texan. Then Carson Benji, outfielder for Oklahoma State, goes to the Mets, 19. Guy I'm very familiar with, watching pitch in the American Conference. East Carolina right-handed pitcher Trey Savage goes to the Blue Jays. And then at number 21, as I mentioned earlier, Kalen Culpepper, shortstop from Kansas State, who prepped at St. Benedict at Auburndale, goes in the first round. They say he has the potential to be a Golden Glover at third base, but could play shortstop in professional baseball or third base. But he goes number 21 overall. So congratulations to Kalen, his family, his coaches out there, as it's great for the 901 to see a player go as early as he did. Also, a high school player from Arkansas, Valley View High School, Slade Caldwell, went in the first round, number 29, to the Diamondbacks. There were some compensation picks, some other picks as well, including Blake Burke from Tennessee, the College World Series championship team. He goes to the Brewers with the number 34 pick overall. So there's a little bit of what happened last night or yesterday with the Major League Baseball amateur draft, and we'll continue in earnest today and tomorrow. We need to take a timeout. When we come back, we turn our attention to SEC Media Days. It gets underway this morning in Dallas. We'll be joined by our man on the scene, Brett Norsworthy. He'll be with us each and every day, Monday through Thursday this week, covering the SEC Media Days at 8:05 on our program. Of course, he'll be on other shows, and he'll be doing his show, which is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Bryant and Stats. That'll be coming your way 3 to 6. But Brett will join us after the top of the hour break to talk all things SEC Media Days. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
College football season is approaching quickly, and that means it's time for SEC Media Days. Brad Horsworthy is broadcasting live from Dallas, Texas, Monday through Thursday, previewing the upcoming season and bringing you interviews with players, coaches, and SEC insiders. So tune into Sports Time with Brian and Brett, as well as throughout the rest of the day for SEC Media Days coverage on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. SEC Media Days is brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, Rules, Ship's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the Commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Memphis Sports and Tourism Council, Ronnie Grisani's, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, Landers Ford, and Jason's Deli. The SEC Media Days on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Save on O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner. Get 2 cans of O'Reilly Brake Parts Cleaner for just $8. Valid in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. We've seen a couple of minor problems out here, but it's just now starting to load up with a little bit of volume on 385 Billmores Parkway coming out of Collierville, headed towards Shelby County. Still not bad from the south up through South Haven on 55 northbound. There's been some radar south of Memphis down in certain parts of DeSoto County this morning down I-55, so be careful. Weimer's Jewelry right here in the Memphis area. They specialize in wedding ring purchases, bridal ring purchases. Go by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings.
Isn't it a lovely morning?
On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Get ready to get your sweat on. 77 at 8:02 and high humidity. We're looking at 96 for a high today. There is a heat advisory in effect. The heat index in triple digits. Yeah, you like to sweat? Just step on out for about 2 minutes and you will sweat. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 78 degrees. We welcome you back to Sports 56 Mornings on this Monday, July 15th, 2024. Greg Gaston, Zach Boyd. Eli is off today. He'll return on Wednesday in just a moment. We'll be heading down to Dallas, Texas, and SEC Media Days for the first time with our own Brett Norsworthy. We are broadcasting live from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Located at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And the second hour of the program is brought to you each and every day by our friends at James Gaddis Jewelers. Your family's jeweler, located at 4900 Poplar Avenue between Mendenhall and St. Nick. On the web at gaddisjewelers.com. They are your bridal engagement and anniversary jeweler headquarters. And every Monday and Friday, they bring you the Memphis Sports Fact. Did you know former Memphis Tigers assistant coach Cody Toppert is the Summer League head coach of the Washington Wizards? Cody coached their G League affiliate last season after leaving Memphis for LSU. Again, James Gaddis Jewelers. Go on, head on over there today. Go see the great folks this weekend. Whenever you have a chance, it's James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. To Big D we go, and our very own Brett Stats Norsworthy. You hear him Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 on a little thing they call Sports Time on Sports 56 with Bryant and Stats, SEC Media Days. Brett, the official, unofficial start of the college football season. How are you this morning?
I'm well, Greg. Thank you so much. And you're right, deep in the heart of Texas, and you knew when Texas and OU, the blockbuster announcement summer of 2021, that they were coming to the SEC. I really thought it'd be before now, but they're here, and you knew when they were coming that we would be heading to the West. And Greg, when in 1990, when I would come down here in late 80s, early 90s, come down here to Southwest Conference basketball tournaments, watching the Razorbacks and a fan of and going to those games, I never would have dreamed, 33, 34, 35 years later, that for a college town, we know Dallas is a Cowboys town, but for a college town, now Dallas is painting itself as the SEC, and a lot of that is the Cotton Bowl, and you know so well with the Tigers going to the Cotton Bowl, the great treatment of the Cotton Bowl people and the great treatment they're putting on for the media this week, and I think it'll be back here a lot. I don't know if it ever goes to Oklahoma, but this is close enough. This is Red River Shootout country.
It is an amazing area for college football. You're right. We think just Dallas Cowboys. Of course, you're in the heart of Dallas Cowboys country, and Eli would tell you it's America's team. I would argue that, but certainly not in the last 25 years. But I think the college football world has embraced that area. There's how many different conferences have their headquarters in Dallas? Is it 3?
A bunch do in the college football playoff headquarters.
That's right.
Here, and you know Jerry's World is primary to all that, and the tie with him and the Cotton Bowl. So it was just natural for it to be here, and we start today with Ole Miss from our area and LSU from the old SEC West. That's no more in South Carolina and Vandy. The old SEC West is done, Greg, and I'll contend from 1992 through last year in 2023 that if it had just been a standalone conference by itself, the SEC West, it could go down as one of the greatest conferences in history of college football with all the championships it produced, all the Heisman winners, Outland Trophy winners, number 1 picks, draft picks, All-Americans, the coaches, and one of those coaches central to that was Coach Nick Saban, and he won't be here this year as he's retired, and Kalen DeBoer into the belly of the beast. Better have a thick hide to be the Alabama coach, and I think he does.
You talk about big shoes to fill. They are some gigantic shoes. Brett,
biggest
of course,
ever.
Biggest ever. Brett, of course, is part of the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. So, as you said, Ole Miss on the docket today is one of the 4 schools. Of course, before the coaches make their rounds, it will be the Commissioner Greg Sankey at 9:05, so in about an hour. Other than the welcome to Oklahoma and Texas into the league, what would you guess his top couple of statements will be, couple of tidbits that he will bring out in front of the assorted media members?
I think it'll be the current landscape of college football that has changed more in the last 3 years than in the previous 50 years with NIL, with the portal, with transfer, with the coming out of COVID, with the conference realignment, now the college football playoff. One question I will have for him, I think we'll have him tomorrow, I think at 5 o'clock. I know we're going to have him tomorrow, I think at 5 o'clock. One question I'm going to have for him is the construct of this 12-team playoff. You know they don't get any playoff without the SEC signing on to it. Why did he sign on to guaranteed conference slots? There will be 5 conference slots for it. I would have thought the SEC would have been fighting hard for 12 at-larges where they could get as many teams as they could get in it, because we know, Greg, a 9-3 for sure, a 10-2 SEC team is often better than champions of some other leagues.
How many teams in the playoff do you expect from the SEC, and what do you think would be a complete disappointment?
I think anything 3 or less is a complete disappointment. I think the baseline should be 4, and then if it's 5, you don't have a lot of wiggle room from 4 to 5, but if it's 5, that's a big win, and it could potentially do that. Now, you're going to have a lot of one-loss teams, and Georgia's. I don't think Georgia's going to even do that this year. It looks like they're going to be pretty dominant again, and the quarterback play at Georgia and quarterback play around the league is so top shelf. And that's one of the stories of media days. 10 quarterbacks will be representing their schools at media days, and that's just a phenomenal big number. And I think you can go all the way down to about 8 or 9 or 10 quarterbacks and know you're going to have good quarterback play. And you can maybe even stretch it out to 11 with Taylor Green at Arkansas, the Boise transfer that, Greg, you saw up close and in person on the field at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium last year when the Tigers beat a very good Boise team.
Brett, does the topic of 9 SEC conference games as opposed to the current 8, does that come up again?
Yeah, I think it does come up. That may be the first question from the assembled media back to the commissioner, and you're seeing a lot of these future games canceled. The contracts like Ole Miss and USC and UCLA and Georgia and others, they're getting out of those. It's pretty mutual. I know anytime a contract is canceled in college sports, one side said you chickened out and the other side says you chickened out. Well, in this case, I know with USC and Ole Miss, and not just because of Lane Kiffin's connection to USC, it was very, very mutual. It's with 9 SEC games and 9 Big Ten games for USC, and USC contractually bound, almost, shall we say, morally bound to play Notre Dame non-conference. That's plenty of football for everybody, and you're going to have some softer spots, but I don't want too soft of spots. I've been consistent through the years that I think you should play people in the neighborhood. That means Ole Miss should be playing Memphis, Arkansas State, Southern Miss, Tulane. About those same number of teams for Mississippi State, almost the same roster for Arkansas, include Arkansas State for the Razorbacks, and they will next year. I would love to see 9 SEC conference games. I would love to see an SEC game against another SEC team that did not count as a conference game, because I think it's really sad we go so long without playing each other. Ole Miss has only been to Mizzou one time since Missouri joined the SEC. Ole Miss has been to Knoxville 2 times since I've been a part of its radio crew, and I'm starting my 17th year. We went up there in 2010 and got hammered, and went up there in 2021, and they threw stuff at us.
Well, first of all, congratulations as you enter your 17th year. Brett Norsworthy joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines from Dallas, which is the host city for this year's SEC Media Days. Blake Topmeyer wrote a story. You're, of course, familiar with Blake from USA Today. He wrote a story the other day, and he didn't say it's a guarantee Georgia is winning the SEC. There's no guarantees in sports. We know that. But the assumption was if Georgia wins, who finishes second? He had 7 different candidates to finish second. Of course, we know there's no more divisions. Do you think it's going to be as crazy as that, where there's 7 legitimates behind Georgia, or just say like 8 teams that are in the battle for first and second in the SEC?
I'm right there with Blake. I think it's going to be Georgia leading, being number 1, and I have them 12-0, and then a host of one-loss teams that includes Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas.
So it's really going to have to work itself to be in that situation where you have all these one-loss teams, because there's so many overlaps where they're playing the same team. And I'm just looking at the schedule and looking at some of the individual teams that you just mentioned and that Blake mentioned. I go, how are they all going to have like the one loss? It seems like there's going to be multiple losses for a bunch of them, but I don't know. I haven't sat here and tried to figure out every single game on the schedule. But,
Well,
I mean,
here's
that's a
for
perfect
instance.
scenario, right? If they all have
It
the
is,
one
but-
loss.
But Ole Miss doesn't play Alabama, and Ole Miss doesn't play Texas. Ole Miss does play Oklahoma, and you probably know in the schedule this year with the two new teams, OU and Texas, half the league will play one of them, and the other half will play the other. Nobody plays both.
But Bama will play LSU,
Georgia,
and
LSU, yeah.
and Tennessee, correct?
Yep.
I'm just thinking of the 7 that he had on his list.
Yeah,
And
I'm with him, and I've got LSU at 10-2, so that's not far. Mizzou at 9-3, Tennessee I have at 9-3. Those 9-3s could easily be 11-1, and Ole Miss's 11-1 could easily be 9-3.
let's talk about the 4 schools, and you mentioned them earlier, that will be on display today. LSU and Brian Kelly will open up his comments at 10, followed by the players. South Carolina at 11:35. At 1:50, the Rebels. And then at 3:20, Vanderbilt. Okay, you just mentioned LSU. You got them with 2 losses. Brian Kelly, and there's always pressure at LSU. They're always going to have talent. Could they be sneaky quiet right there? And it's weird to say that about an LSU team, but there's so much attention now being put on Texas, the coaching change at Alabama, even with Ole Miss and the expectations for this year, not to mention Georgia. Do you think they could be really sneaky good that they're right there?
Well, I think they are. And now, how good are they going to be on defense? And we're going to see opening weekend just how good they are in a de facto college football playoff, maybe not elimination game, but you're in big trouble if you lose that game when they play USC, and then 3 weeks later they play UCLA. So they play the crosstown rival of Los Angeles, USC, UCLA, in the month of September. And now both of those teams, of course, as we know now, in the Big Ten with a lot of travel miles ahead of them. But LSU's loaded. Garrett Nussmeier's going to fill right in admirably at quarterback behind the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels. He showed it in the bowl games, in the bowl game last year. And Jaden Daniels, off that Heisman year, we're going to see him in the National Football League, and he's going to be a phenomenal player. Greg, in my time at Ole Miss, most people probably would generalize the 2014 win over Alabama, over Nick Saban, Katy Perry Day, goalposts come down.
Yes.
Probably
I was there.
is one of the top. You were there. It's probably one of the top games. I swear, I think the win last year over LSU was the biggest win since I've been a part of the crew.
Wow.
For this reason. If Ole Miss doesn't win that game in late September last year, and then all those close games that it won the rest of the year, would they have had that confidence the rest of the year in close games against Arkansas, close game against Texas A&M, close game, of course, in the Egg Bowl, and other close games? But that win, down 9 with 5 minutes to go against the eventual Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels, I think it really propelled Ole Miss kind of to this off-season honeymoon prominence.
If anybody could say that, it's certainly you, being a part of the games that you have been a part of for all these years. Brett Norsworthy joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line from Dallas, Texas. SEC Media Days underway as Commissioner Greg Sankey will speak in less than an hour to the assembled media. All right, let me jump right to Ole Miss since you brought them up. Of course, it'll be heavy hearts that Lane Kiffin talks to the media today with the loss of his father, Monty. Certainly sad news. One of the great defensive minds of all time in coaching, period, professional, collegiate, whatever the case may be. But Ole Miss this year, there's so much surrounding the excitement of this team, the great job that Lane did in the portal, the players they have, dart back for another year. Look, you're around this team a lot. You know an awful lot about this team. Are we overhyping them?
No, I don't think so. And if we are, it's not just us. It's unanimity.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
the college football commentariat. This is not a year that, Memphis talk show guy that is on the Ole Miss crew is hyping Ole Miss to be number 17.
Right.
This is the whole world talking about it. So if we miss on this, and we could, again, Greg, in 2022, Ole Miss lost a lot of those close games. In 23, Ole Miss won all those close games. So we'll see if this year, if the pattern continues for the winning streak, it reverts back to 2022. You know, when Alabama beat Ole Miss late in the year in 2022, it really got Ole Miss 3 or 4 times. Lost to Alabama, then lost at Arkansas, and then lost the Egg Bowl, and then in one of the more god-awful, make-your-eyes-bleed bowl performances ever against Texas Tech in the Texas Bowl, got ran out of the Dome in Houston by them and finished 8-5 with a pretty loaded team. Well, last year got all those breaks. Will they get them this year? I think they will for this reason. Senior quarterback Jackson Dart and all those starts. He's been through these SEC wars. He knows this league. He knows what it's like to get that football down 4. You got to score. 2.5 minutes to play, and the place is thumping. I mean, he knows how to perform in that, and he's got some really good weaponry around him, with Trey Harris being one of them, and he'll be here today. I mentioned the 10 SEC quarterbacks. Greg, you'll like this note a lot. Trey Harris was a high school quarterback, and his go-to receiver in high school was Malik Neighbors.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, man, how about that? That's a great connection right there. I'm sure they had a few touchdown connections.
they did. Trey Harris said he told me that Malik Neighbors, he was just so good. I just had to throw it up to him, and he said he learned a lot about playing the wide receiver position that he got moved to in college by playing with him in high school. But Ole Miss also has Jared Ivey here today on the defensive line, and that's going to be a point of strength for Ole Miss. I've gone into a lot of years with Ole Miss, Greg. And you know the feeling. If you had 2 defensive linemen, you'd be happy.
Right.
It's a legitimate rotation of 6 to 7 big, fresh guys, and that's the difference in these hot weather, fourth quarter SEC games is you've got to have more depth than the other side. And then on the offensive line side for Ole Miss, it's the same thing, including a transfer from Washington that started in the national championship game against Alabama.
Let me ask you one more thing about Ole Miss, and then we'll move on. There are certain programs out there, you know them, who if they don't make the playoff, even when it was a 4-teamer, now obviously even more so because it's a 12-team playoff, that it's a disappointment. Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, there's 3 that come to mind. Ole Miss annually is expected, especially recently under Lane Kiffin, expected to be very, very competitive, but not playoff worthy until now. So if they don't get to the promised land and become a part of the 12-team playoff, is it a disappointment or is it still, well, we had a good season, we just came up a little short?
Yeah, let me correct myself. Washington lost to Michigan in the national championship game.
Right.
To not get to the playoff, yes, it would be a disappointment. But I don't like that word thrown around because sometimes you're disappointed, but are you angry? I think not making the college football playoff for Ole Miss would be more than disappointing, especially with the chips in the middle of the table. I don't know if the word is failure, because if Ole Miss goes 10-2 and doesn't make the college football playoff,
that's not a failure.
Is it ever a failure to at Ole Miss to win 10 games? I don't think so.
No.
But then it is disappointing. Is disappointing a tough enough word? And I don't know the right word, but we'll figure it out come December. But I think they will be in the playoff, and I like the weekend of hosting. And if they can host one of those games, I've gone through all these scenarios and the potential, 5 versus 12 and 6 versus 11. And I don't think Ole Miss is going to the SEC championship game. I think that will be Georgia and Texas. And the winner will probably be the number 1 seed nationally. And the defeated team, and that will probably be the 5, the first team that's hosting on campus weekends. But I'm hoping for Ole Miss in that 7 or 8 spot and host a game the weekend of December 20th or 21st. And that would be the biggest game in the history of Oxford to host a college football weekend.
We talked about LSU. We talked about Ole Miss. South Carolina, Vanderbilt also here for day one. Somebody's got to take lumps in the SEC. Vandy has taken a lot of lumps. Are we going to see any improvement from Clark Lee's team?
I don't see how we do. I mean, the Vegas over and under is not very, very good. It's 2.5. So, take your pick there. And you get to 3, and it feels like that would probably be about the limit. But that would win with the odds. No, almost the worst scenario for Vandy has occurred with the NIL. They get a player a little bit developed, and somebody swoops in and gets them. They've got an offensive lineman, a linebacker, and a safety here today. Not a quarterback. not a skilled position player, right there kind of screams a little bit passe, doesn't it? And almost the same thing for Shane Beamer at South Carolina. You're right. Somebody's got to collect these losses. And between Vanderbilt, what I have going 3-9, and South Carolina going 5-7, they're going to gobble up a lot of losses.
They'll miss Spencer Rattler. He ended up being a pretty good quarterback.
He did, Greg, but he had that aspect to him of he could win a game for you and he could throw you out of one too.
That's true. All right, final thing before we let you go. The rumor's still out there about down the road, more expansion. There was the talk about Florida State and Clemson that there's nothing going on with the SEC and that the Big 12 may be swooping in, and Brett Yormark wants to try to grab Clemson and Florida State if they can get out of their legal ramblings and everything that's going on there. Do you expect any more expansion with the SEC in the not-too-distant future?
What's the not-too-distant future?
I'd say 5 years.
Oh, no, there'll be expansion in 5.
Oh, really? Okay, so talk to me about it. What do you think happens with the SEC specifically?
Ideally, I think their number one wish list, after you kind of eliminate Notre Dame, I think is North Carolina. But North Carolina's having trouble at the state legislative level of if you're not doing anything without the other North Carolina schools like NC State, Wake Forest, maybe even East Carolina. The state legislature, you don't want to fight that. Not even North Carolina wants to fight that. But I think North Carolina is the dream of the Big Ten and the SEC, and to see which one gets them. Florida State's as good as gone, but I don't think Florida State would come to the SEC, but I don't know if it's as bitter as it once was. But Florida State turned down the SEC when Arkansas came in. Those 2 slots were for Arkansas and FSU turned the league down. Bobby Bowden wanted nothing to do with the week in, week out grueling schedule of the SEC, so he took the ACC, and the SEC, frankly, had to scramble and get South Carolina to make it an even 12 way back in 1992.
So 2029, there will be 18 teams?
In the SEC, I think there would at least be 18, maybe 20, because we know the Big Ten's going 20. They're 18 now.
Right.
And I think FSU will be number 19, and who will be number 20, yet to be determined. But by 2029, Greg, my feet will be up, and I'll be listening to the SEC Media Days.
Hey, Brett, tell everybody about our great sponsors.
We have an all-star list of great sponsors, including our friends at First National Bank and Trust, at Gould's, Jim's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Memphis Sports and Tourism Council, Ronnie Grisani's and Jimmy McElroy and Associates at Wade Incorporated. They're your North Mississippi John Deere dealer for over 14 years. Great locations, including Hernando, Batesville, Tunica, and beyond. For anything outside, you got to get in the green zone. For mowers, zero-turn mowers, commercial mowers, that's the place to go. Schedule a demo today, buy online, and learn more about financing at WadeIncorporated.com. Over 100 years, Wade Incorporated servicing the Mid-South. Get in the green zone with John Deere and Wade Incorporated.
Brett, do you have more hits before your show at 3? Are you on next hour or with Wolo, rather?
I'm on with John Harden at 12 noon.
So John Harden at 12, you can hear Brett, and then, of course, Sports Time on Sports 56 with Brian and Stats from 3 until 6. Great stuff as always, man. Looking forward to having you on each and every day at 8:05. Thank you so much, Brett.
You got it, Greg. Thank you.
Brett Norsworthy, Mr. SEC, and getting ready, as he said, for his 17th season as a part of the Ole Miss Rebels Football Radio Network. We'll take a break. When we come back, talk some NFL, talk some soccer as well. Your calls and texts at Sports 56 and the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines, 901-360-8255. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash.
Good morning. Just a couple of accidents out here the last 15, 20 minutes. It's finally starting to build pretty good coming down Millmore, Parkway 385 out of Collierville. And I got a little bit crowded a few minutes ago on 240 east and westbound over here around Walnut Grove. It's also picking up down, let's say, Ossipee Highway coming southbound, getting up on that ramp there to I-40. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis. They specialize in bridal ring purchases, and they have since 1984. Shop local, save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:31 the time. Hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Monday, July 15th, 2024 edition. Greg Gaston and Zach Boyd. Eli is off today. He'll return on Wednesday. We're broadcasting live from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Big thanks to Brett Norsworthy, who will again join us tomorrow at 8:05. He's covering SEC Media Days. As Commissioner Greg Sankey will speak in a half hour and get things rolling. Today it's LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt that will be under the microscope. But again, the first time that Texas and Oklahoma will be a part of SEC Media Days as the changing of the guard has happened. Just seems very strange going into a college football season where UCLA, USC, Washington, and Oregon are playing in the Big Ten, and Texas and Oklahoma are playing in the SEC, among other changes around the nation. And interesting comments from Brett about the future of college football and in particular the SEC, that he believes there will be more changes, there will be further expansion, and that they will probably add a couple of schools by 2029. Could be earlier, but I said within the next 5 years. He said, no, we'll definitely see some changes. And a lot of people believe that that will happen as well. But what's really interesting is what happens with Florida State, with Clemson, maybe some other schools in the ACC, with the legal situation, the lawsuits that are going on, and the future of their media package that they have, the contract that they're under, which they are under for, 2034 is it? which just seems ludicrous, but I guess they'll get that figured out. All right, let's talk some NFL. Saw this list on ESPN. This is a list that was put together by general managers and executives in the National Football League. So this is not fan voting. This is not media voting. But these are execs. Now, whether or not coaches participated, I'm not sure. But again, these are the minds running professional football. And their conclusion was, I don't think there's any argument at number one that the best quarterback going into the 2024 season is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, has already vaulted to number 2 overall all time. And you could argue that. You're entitled to it. I'm sticking with it. Only Tom Brady is ahead on my list of all-time quarterbacks with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, number 2. But he's number 1 going into the 2024 season. Number 2, they have Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, coming off an injury, has had a great start to his career, but he's 2. Number 3, Josh Allen. And Buffalo, in the eyes of many, have underachieved. Josh Allen, 3. Lamar Jackson at number 4. And then at number 5 is Matthew Stafford, who has a Super Bowl. He's battled some injuries as well. Fairly long on in the tooth, whatever the hell that expression is. But they still think he's number 5. Zach, would you argue anyone that's off that top 5 that's not? By the way, they have Justin Herbert at number 6. Anybody that you would throw in there at top 5?
Is this ESPN's top?
This is the general managers and executives in the NFL. This is not some media poll or some ESPN deal where they're trying to get talking points and make conversation, have a topic. These are actually the people that supposedly know the game the best, the GMs, the executives, the personnel people of the NFL and the particular teams.
I don't understand why Justin Herbert is number 6. What has he done to deserve to be in the top 10? I'm trying to get. This is just quarterbacks in general. Am I correct?
These are all the quarterbacks going into the 2024 season.
Yeah. So
how they rank them?
So Herbert should not be nowhere near the top 10 in my opinion.
Okay. Why?
He just hasn't done anything. Like, regular season's just been okay. And then when they do have the good season to get into the playoffs, it's been bad. Just been bad in my eyes.
He's thrown for 17,223 yards, has a passer rating of 95.7. He has 114 touchdowns to just 42 picks, has a 66.6% completion percentage. I'm just reading the stats. I'm not saying that I even argue with you. He was the AP NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2020. How much of it is... See, I don't think these guys are taking into consideration, and they shouldn't, the team, what the success or lack thereof of the teams are. They're looking at those... Now, some of it goes hand in hand, right? I don't think you put a quarterback in the top 5 that hasn't won any games. And there certainly isn't in the 5 that they have. But it's not the end-all, be-all when you're looking at quarterbacks. We go back to the argument about Dan Marino being one of the greats of all time, never won a Super Bowl, went to 1. But, yeah, I don't know. Now, I do know this. C.J. Stroud, give me one more season, like the season he had last year, and he's top 5 on my list.
I mean,
he's right. He's ready to go. I'm not ready to do it yet because he's only had the 1. And then there's guys like Jordan Love, who looks like he's headed in the right direction, but still, give him some time. I mean, he's been in Green Bay a while, but he's been in Green Bay most of the time as a backup, not playing at all to Aaron Rodgers. Now, who else? Lawrence is not in the top 6, and even though Jacksonville's had some success as a team, I wouldn't put him in there. Brock Purdy has had a lot of success in a short period of time with San Francisco, but I put Purdy in the same category as I do Stroud, that he's up and coming, he's ready, but he's not there yet. He needs some more reps. He needs some more games. And then you have, I'm trying to think just off the top of my head, I don't have the list in front of me. Jared Goff has accomplished an awful lot. Could you interchange? Could you put Goff ahead of, or put him in the Herbert spot? But of the top 5, forget about Herbert for a second, because I think you make a good point. Would you argue any of those 5? See, I think absolutely Mahomes is number 1. I could easily put Lamar Jackson too.
Yeah.
Burrow's right there. Allen, is he a top 5 quarterback? Is he a top 10 quarterback? I think you can make the argument he's a top 5. They
He's
have
on
him
the
in there
fence for me, too.
And then, Stafford's at the end, towards the end of his career. Is he still top 5 going into the season?
I don't think so.
When he's healthy, he's good.
He's top. He's more top 10 than he is top 5, in my eyes.
Okay, I can see that. Now, you got some interesting other names that we haven't talked about. There's Aaron Rodgers. Last year was a disaster health-wise. He's now 41. How old's Rodgers now?
I thought he was still in his 30s.
Is he? Maybe he's in his 30s. But either way, he's up there. There's no way he's a top 5 quarterback. But if he gets into a groove and stays healthy and the Jets are winning and he's flinging it all around the field, then you go, oh, you got Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers is 40.
Yeah.
He'll be 41 in the early part of December.
Okay, so, yeah, I thought he was already 40. So Rodgers is an interesting guy, but I wouldn't put him top 5. How can you put him top 5 coming off that injury? And this is what they're doing. They're looking at the quarterbacks going into the 2024 season. This is not a career accolade thing, what you've accomplished in your career. This is going into this season. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Matthew Stafford's still top 5, but who else would you argue about? Kirk Cousins, now with Atlanta?
No.
Certainly not Bryce Young, whose first year was not good, but hopefully he'll improve, and I think he will for Carolina. Certainly not. Caleb Williams is just coming into the league, so you're not going to throw him into that position. Kyler Murray has had injuries. He's had moments, but not consistent. Like I said, Jordan Love, give him some time. C.J. Stroud, give him some time. Brock Purdy, give him some time. Certainly not Daniel Jones.
No. Dak is on the fence.
Dak is an interesting one. Dak has put up incredible numbers. His team has not been as effective overall as they should be for a guy putting up the numbers that he has. He takes some of the blame for that. But also, as I said earlier, I'm not just looking at the team's success in evaluating this. Dak would be top 10, not top 5. I think I would put Dak, somewhere in that 9-10 category. I think that's fair. What do you think?
He's close to me. To me, Dak is closer to being a top 5 in my eyes.
Yeah, but would you put him ahead of Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, Stafford?
I will put him over, if I'm going into the season, if I'm taking the quarterbacks as they are now, not for the whole body of their career.
Right. Which is what they're supposed to be voting on.
Right. I'll take Dak over Stafford. Even though Stafford got the live arm, I still take Dak over Stafford.
Would you take anybody else over Dak? If you've pushed Dak into your top 5, would you take anybody else around the league over Dak? You're telling me you take Dak over Herbert, Lawrence. I'm trying to think who else is out there. Stroud, Love,
Watson.
Purdy.
Watson, Deshaun Watson.
Well, Watson's a disaster.
Yeah.
That whole thing's a disaster.
If anything, there's like 3 quarterbacks I'll probably take in my eyes that I take over Dak. Allen is kind of on the fence for me because he's been getting this media love and he hasn't done a thing. And if we're gonna sit here and say that Dak hasn't done anything, then a lot of these other quarterbacks that are in the top 5 hasn't done a thing.
When you say he hasn't done a thing, you're talking about team-wise?
Team-wise and individual-wise.
Buffalo's been better than Dallas. I'll tell you that much.
I agree. But as a guy that's supposed to have been the superstar quarterback in air quotes, like he's supposed to come in as supposed to change the position like Mahomes did, like he hasn't really done anything.
Well, he's failed when it's come down to the team and breaking through. But, he's not the only one to blame on that. But he's certainly going to take some of the blame. He threw 18 picks last year. And yeah, I'm just looking at last year. Dak to me has got a lot of good numbers. He's good. I know he's good. He's just not, in my opinion, top 5. I hear your argument about Allen, but somebody's got to be in that top 5. The only ones I know for absolute sure, Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Burrow, I could argue, is 2. Lamar Jackson, I can argue, is 2. Those 3, absolutely 100%. Then we can have fun with Allen, Stafford, Herbert, Dak. Tua had a great year last year. I just don't look at Tua as a top 5 quarterback, certainly not. Top 10, maybe. Marginal, but probably not. I think he's a top half quarterback. Top 16, but not top 5 or top 10, in my opinion. So anyway, that, again, is a list that's not a made-for-television, let's have a conversation about it list from ESPN that does an awful lot of that. This was actually a list put together by current general managers, executives on the quarterbacks going into the 2024 season. Town Village Audubon Park is senior living in today's world, offering more options to fit your needs more than ever before. They're dedicated to the long-term satisfaction and the quality of life for their residents. Located at 950 Cherry Road, just off Park Avenue in the heart of East Memphis. You can call them, set up a tour, 901-537-0002. Go online to find out more about them at townvillageaudubonpark.com. Everything you need to continue to enjoy life to its fullest. All they ask is that you're 55 years of age or older. So you may be looking at your golden years, a loved one's golden years, mom, dad, grandparents, whatever the case may be. Independent living, short-term respite stay available, monthly options may be the way to go. Monthly rental, no buy-in. Apartments include full kitchen, washer and dryer, bi-weekly housekeeping, all-inclusive resort-style dining with multiple venues, outpatient therapy. And the amenities just continue with their community social area that features a fitness center, a home theater, indoor pool, whirlpool, bistro. Plus, they have resident gardening areas, a dog park, gated parking, very safe and secure. It's Town Village Audubon Park, 950 Cherry Road, just off Park Avenue. Call them at 901-537-0002 or go online to townvillageaudubonpark.com. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
In Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or satisfied. Freshness is nearby. Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on the shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding and a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Granger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call CraigGranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Diamonds are forever.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
So one quarterback we forgot to talk about was Jalen Hurts. All that guy does is perform, produce, win, and is always undervalued, in my opinion. So Jalen Hurts is a guy, I mean, you could argue him for number 5. You certainly can argue. Got a text on the Sissy's Log Cabin text line about the quarterbacks?
Yeah, Ron texted in. He said, I think I think Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 quarterback, even though his team is not.
Well, Jacksonville's been in the playoffs. I mean, he's gotten them into the playoffs. How many times have they been in the playoffs under Lawrence? I mean, they're a decent team. Jacksonville's improved, and Lawrence is a big part of improving that team. And I think he's right. Lawrence, you can certainly argue top 10. I don't think you could argue top 5. Not yet with Trevor Lawrence. How many playoffs have they been in recently?
I think it's just one time.
Just
they
one?
only had 2 playoff games.
Yeah, but how many have they been in the playoffs the last 2 years or not?
Yes.
Okay, so the last 2 years. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been in the league that long. What I'm saying is he's helped turn around that franchise. He and a bunch of those high draft picks that they had.
The Jaguars are in the playoffs in 2022. They beat the Chargers. That was the comeback victory.
Right.
Where the Chargers up big and they let the Jaguars back in it. And then they end up losing to the Chiefs that year.
And what about last year, 23?
Last year they weren't in the playoffs.
They weren't in the playoffs last year?
No.
Okay, so only the one time. All right, I pulled up the standings just to take a look at some of these other quarterbacks. Let's see. I mean, Colts obviously have a young quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Titans a young quarterback in Will Levis.
Yeah.
Derek Carr's now in New Orleans, but Derek Carr, who's had a really good career, is not a top 5, not even a top 10 quarterback anymore.
Baker with the Bucks.
Yeah, Baker's not a top 10 quarterback, although Baker, I think, is a guy that's undervalued a bit. He's done a pretty good job wherever he's gone.
Geno's with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep.
He's more knocking into the top 10 after his recent play the last couple of years.
Geno's been good. Geno's been good. I still don't think Geno's top 10, but Geno is good. He's in the upper half of the quarterbacks around the league. So, yeah, I think, look, I would have no problem putting Lamar Jackson number 2. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. To me, they're the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on Jalen Hurts with what he has done. He has been very, very consistent. Dak is an interesting one, as we talked about, because of the fact that they always seem to underachieve. And he's playing for the Cowboys. So there's always going to be more scrutiny on him than on anybody. And now he's dealing with the whole contract situation. You know, whether or not they're going to pay him long term. They haven't done anything. He has a no trade clause in his contract. They can't franchise him. That's in his contract as well. I don't think he's going anywhere. But whether or not they can agree on a long-term deal, that's to still come. Whether or not they can get it done before the season starts. If you missed the news about T. Higgins, Cincinnati was unable to reach a deal with him. And he's franchised. He's got the franchise tag, but I'm not sure about his future. Of course, when you have Jamar Chase and you have to pay him the big money that they're paying now these wide receivers around the league, I don't know where Higgins falls in the place. He feels he's a number one. He probably is a number one quarterback, a number one wide receiver, but not on that team. Not with Jamar Chase. Wanted to get this soccer real quick. Last night in Miami was an absolute debacle. An absolute debacle with security at Hard Rock Stadium. Did you see the video from the Copa America and the fans?
I don't think I did.
All right. First of all, they stormed the gates. And the security, they didn't know what to do. And so these people got into the stadium, with no tickets. A bunch of people had no tickets. A bunch of people certainly had tickets, and they were waiting to get in an orderly fashion. So these people rushed the gates, got in. I don't know if they were able to get them out because then they let the people with the tickets in. Then you saw these people, I don't know what they were doing. They were crawling through like seams in the roof. They were going through another entrance. The security just put their arms up and said, what are we going to do about it? It was an absolute disaster. I have not heard of any injuries, but easily people could have been steamrolled because that has happened before in concerts and soccer matches, especially in South America. These are 2 South American teams in Argentina and Colombia. So I don't know if those fans were from the other countries in the States to watch the game, if they're natives of our country, if they're illegal immigrants. I don't know what it is. But nobody cared about security. And they're all little kids there with their parents and families. Easily could have got hurt. And again, I don't know. I think they avoided anything serious as far as any injuries. But it was a real ugly situation. It also delayed the game nearly an hour to try to bring order to what was going on. Again, this was in the United States, on U.S. soil at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. And now people wonder if there will be a security problem hosting the World Cup. Is this a precursor to what could happen hosting the World Cup? Now, the United States has hosted huge events before, including the Olympics, and they've done a pretty good job. But it's one of those deals, just like we talked about to open up the show in hour one, about the security that was breached on the outside of the perimeters of where Trump was speaking. You got to do a better job, man. You have to have the personnel and be ready just in case these things happen. It happens all the time in South America, all the time. I think they're the rowdiest soccer fans anywhere. By the way, Argentina won the Copa for like the millionth time. They won 1-0. Messi got hurt, though, and wasn't in the game. They had to pull him out. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but he was hurt enough where he had to go out of the game, and Argentina still won 1-0. Also, the Euro Cup final, and I was in Europe during this. It's incredible. Spain, with a goal in the 87th minute, beat England in a terrific match, 2-1. Spain, I think, goes back-to-back with the Euro Cup championship. Again, knock off England by the score of 2-1. We will take a timeout. When we come back, we're talking golf. Joe Tomek joins us, the executive director of the FedEx St. Jude Championship. It is 1 month from today. It's getting underway very soon. We will discuss that when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Five Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
DQ presents Picture This. Picture the DQ freezer, home to all the Blizzard flavors of the past. Picture it opening to bring back the salted caramel truffle blizzard for a limited time. Picture that salted caramel truffle blizzard in your hands. It's all yours. No, really, it's all yours. This treat is too good to share. Everyone will have to get one for themselves. Hurry in to get this flavor before the DQ freezer closes. DQ, happy tastes good.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis, right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
College football season is approaching quickly, and that means it's time for SEC Media Days. Brad Morsworthy is broadcasting live from Dallas, Texas, Monday through Thursday, previewing the upcoming season and bringing you interviews with players, coaches, and SEC insiders. So tune into Sportstime with Brian and Brett, as well as throughout the rest of the day for SEC Media Days coverage on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. SEC Media Days is brought to you by First National Bank and Trust, Rules, Jim's Place in Collierville, your North Mississippi John Deere dealer, Wade Incorporated, the Commissary in Germantown and Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Memphis Sports and Tourism Council, Ronnie Grisani's, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, Landers Ford, and Jason's Deli. The SEC Media Days on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning, MPD mopping up a couple of earlier accidents. Finally starting to build over here in the Midtown area on 240 North at Lamar as that traffic increases up through South Haven. It's been in pretty good shape so far, coming up from the south on 55 going northbound as you work your way up in and through South Memphis. Hey, Havenly Showers is your curbless showers. Specialists transform your bathroom with a tub to curbless shower conversions. Just log on today, havenlyshowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:05 the time. Hour 2. Make that hour 3 here on Sports 56 morning. I just scared Zach. He was like, man, oh man, I got to do another third hour? No.
So we got an additional hour to this show?
Nope. You can put in for it, though, if you want to.
Well, I'm already going to put in 4 hours, so that's the thing.
That's true. Greg Gaston, Zach Boyd, Eli off today. He'll return on Wednesday. Joe Tomek's going to join us in just a few moments. It's hot out there if you haven't noticed already. If you haven't left your house, you don't have to. Don't. 80 degrees right now. There is a heat advisory. It's going to get to 95, 96 today. And then with the heat index, we're talking about triple digits. It is what it is. It is July in Memphis. It's going to be hot. Hour 3 of the program brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. They are located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Mississippi. That is their new warehouse. They opened up just a couple of weeks ago. They moved up from Hernando to Horn Lake, closer to the Memphis metropolitan area. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. If you are looking for flooring and carpeting, this is the place for you. They have all the top flooring and carpeting needs that you or what you need, I should say, SPC, WPC vinyls. These are scratch-resistant, waterproof. These are top-of-the-line vinyls. Ceramic and porcelain tiles, hardwoods by Portercraft, carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet, on and on and on. They sell it wholesale, so they'll skip the middleman. They're going to save you lots of money in the process. So for all you homeowners out there, but also for contractors, do yourself a favor, see what Jenkins Floors and More has to offer. They will install, they will do so within an unheard of 2-week turnaround. So if you purchase from Jenkins, they'll have the job done in 2 weeks. Financing is available. You can stop by or call them at 662-469-9350. They'll come to you. They'll do a free estimate. They'll show you different samples. So again, give them a call and set something up today, or stop by and see them at any of their 3 locations, including at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Mississippi. It's Jenkins Floors and More, the third-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. Believe it or not, we're a month away from the FedEx St. Jude Championship, the first of the 3 playoff events for the FedEx Cup, August 14th through the 18th. The top 70 players in the world will be here in Memphis at TPC Southwind. And with us right now in studio is the executive director of the FedEx St. Jude Championship, our friend Joe Tomek, who you can follow on Twitter at Toey_Jomek. Are you ever going to change that?
Your favorite. No, just so that you can say it every time I'm here.
I love it. There's only one Toey when I looked it up. You're alone. So a month away, my friend.
Yeah, I'm after that weather update, I'm thinking I'm going to hang here in the studio with you versus go back to the golf course. But it's creeping up fast, that's for sure.
All right, so I would imagine, and you guys have been working diligently for months and months and months. Everything right now is, I would imagine, on target, ready to go. I was out there, gosh, when was it for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Golf Classic?
Probably a month ago at this point.
At least a month, right? Yeah. And they already had everything going up, the scaffolding and all that. So everything right now is on schedule.
Yeah, moving really well. The build started May 12th, give or take. So we're about, 3 months into it at this point. And this is the crunch time. More vendors show up this week, actually, and start loading in generators, AC units, electric, all that sort of fun stuff. So,
what other stuff from a not from the vendors' standpoint, but from just the actual golf tournament itself? what are other things that have to be done here? Obviously, you don't have a final field yet, but what other things have to be done?
Yeah, a lot of it is the operations, building out. Obviously, the last 30 days is a big crunch for selling tickets, so always encourage people to get them early as the prices are going to keep hiking up. Field set, like you said, we're fortunate that we have the top 70 players in the world that are showing up. We don't have to recruit. We don't have any questions, except for the fact that it doesn't get finalized until that last weekend. So we really won't know our field until the Sunday night before. So, got to come up with a bunch of different variables and basically plan for any of the top 90 to 100 to be here. And that's kind of what my team's working on right now.
Why do you have to plan for different variables? What's it matter with the player? Is it depend on maybe the status of that player?
Yeah, well, it's mostly who's going to qualify, who's going to earn enough points. And even last year, I think we saw 2 to 3 players play their way in on that final weekend at Wyndham. So with 4 events left over the next 4 weeks that they can earn points, those that are outside the top 70, and frankly, even those that are near the back half of 70, they're going to play pretty much every weekend to try to play their way in. So you could have someone play their way, just like Lucas Glover did. He was 152nd, I think, going into Wyndham. And then he won back-to-back weekends to play his way not only into our tournament, but all the way to Atlanta. Like, that's the kind of opportunity you have and the variables we got to account for.
And Lucas right now is in the field, but barely.
Barely.
As I look at the latest in the FedEx Cup point standings, he's sitting at 69.
Yeah, he played his way in this past week, I believe, because he was sitting at 72nd, 73rd, somewhere in there. So he's hovering on that cut line pretty well.
So we just had the Open Champion, or we just had the Scottish Open Championship. We'll have the Open Championship this week. And then what are the other events where they can accumulate points before they come to Memphis?
So we've got the 3M up in Minnesota. I know Wyndham the week before us, and I know I'm missing one in there. We're also taking a break for a week so that some of the top players can go play over in Paris as part of the Olympics. So that's why we're 1 week later this year is we allow our players to go over there. So really, once you get through the Open, and if you look back to last season this time of year, the rhetoric when you're watching on broadcast, the storylines are more so who's playing in or out of the playoffs, which again is kind of the buildup that we get to take advantage of this time of year.
I think even more so, like you said, there's the week where the top-notch guys from their specific countries are going to the Olympics, but none of those events coming up, other than this Open Championship, which is a major, are elevated tournaments.
Correct.
So you got 3M, you got Wyndham. So you could have some of the top 20 guys, top 30 guys sitting out, resting up, which gives the guys probably from 100, 125 in the chance to get into the top 70. Of course, if you win an event, it's probably going to elevate you.
For sure, yeah. At this point, if you win, chances are you're playing your way into the top 70 at least. That's been the unique thing about this elevated tournament model is I know there was a lot of uncertainty about it, what happens to the lower field events, all that sort of stuff. Someone like John Deere 2 weeks ago had the strongest field they've had in nearly 10 years because players like Jordan, Justin Rose, Patrick Cantlay was supposed to play, I believe. They need to play to keep their status inside the 70. Not only do they want to be in 70, they want to be in the top 50 when all said and done in Memphis.
Right.
That's your way to qualify for signature event or elevated events. So it's been a fun year. You're seeing some of that fruit of the labor pay off, if you will, for this elevated model.
Yeah, that's a good point. Rose right now is 75, so moving his way up. So those guys, of course, as you said, they'll be participating more than likely because they're trying to get into the top 70 or top 50. But the guys that are secure in the top 20, top 25, more than likely are not playing in Minnesota.
Yeah, especially after a trip overseas for the Open and Genesis if they played. Then those are heading over to Paris, like a Scotty. I don't expect them to play after the Olympics, take the week off, transition back to North America, and then come out in Memphis.
Were you surprised Scotty didn't play in the Scottish Open?
No, I don't think so. Everyone's got a different style of how they like to tune up. I think because he knew he had the Olympics right thereafter, that was probably going to be a pretty hefty run anyways. So to add the Scottish to it on the front end probably would have been a little much. And to your point, he just simply doesn't need the points at this point.
All right, so I mentioned Rose at 75. Ricky Fowler, very popular golfer, as everybody knows. He's at 96. So another guy trying to fight to get into Memphis.
Yeah, he played well in the beginning of the year and has kind of tailed off, unfortunately. The other one to keep an eye on, and frankly, I don't know unless he gets a win here over the next month, but Matt Kuchar is tied with Adam Scott for the only two players to make every single playoffs in the, I guess, 17 years that we've had this structure.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting at 150th, 100, something like that. So Kuchar's streak may come to an end, but again, Scott had a really strong finish yesterday at the Genesis, so chances are I believe he's pretty sure in.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the other names. They may be too far down on the list, but one interesting name is a two-time winner in Memphis, Daniel Berger, who's at 129. He has battled back from health issues.
Yeah, I believe he qualified 2 years ago when the cut was 125 for Memphis and didn't even get to play because of injuries. And I think he's just had some nagging things that he's got to take care of. But, when he shows up, he's going to play well at TPC Southwind, but it's just a matter of making it here.
Webb Simpson, 139, another big name that's out there. There's a number of names. It'll be interesting the last month leading into Memphis. Joe Tomek is joining us, the executive director of the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Have they already announced the 2025 schedule?
They have not,
Okay.
no. I believe that's coming some point during the playoff stretch. Either here in Memphis, they'll announce it, or 2 weeks later in Atlanta.
Do you expect anything significant as far as changes?
I don't. Obviously, there's a few new sponsors going on with Wells leaving and I think one or two others. So other than some new sponsor names, I don't foresee any significant schedule changes. We're still in the midst of negotiating some future relationship, if any, with PIF, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia, and that whole ordeal. I think everything's just kind of on hold and move forward as is until an announcement gets made there.
Are you hearing anything more on that?
Other than they're still negotiating, conversations are positive, all those sort of things that you keep hearing. A year ago, just about this time, I guess it was June last year, we made this big announcement that a relationship had been struck, and the reality was not much had been struck. I think they're going to make sure every T is crossed, I is dotted before they try to make an announcement this time around.
You're busy putting together a tournament, so you probably haven't given too much thought to it, but I've just, once in a while I think about it and I go, okay, if they could reach a deal, what kind of deal can they reach? Like, what is possible? What is feasible?
Yeah, and I think that's the questions they're trying to answer. I mean, this is not a short-term cash grab deal that they're just rushing to solve. This is the future of our sport and how that comes together, not only with us, with Live Golf, but even with the DP World Tour. You saw yesterday our collaboration with them, having a lot of our top players over at the Genesis. So I think they're trying to figure out what's in the best interest of the sport as a whole. And those are big questions to answer and a small group to try to decide that.
Do you think it's important that they figure something out?
I think so. I think the fans and everyone in general is kind of over the division.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that looks like, I think the priority is getting all players back together on one tour. How that shakes out, what that does to the schedule, I like we just talked about, I feel really strongly where the tour schedule is right now with this elevated event series. The playoffs changing to 70, 50, 30, I think has been really strong. So there's a lot of good that's already happening. So as long as it doesn't go backwards, which I don't think it will.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. With the elevated tournaments, I mean, almost every week, it's a big event.
Yeah.
I love the fact where the PGA Tour is. It's a shame it took whatever it took with Liv to get it going to this extreme, which, again, is a positive. But I would also like to see the DeChambos of the world, the Cameron Smiths, the John Rahms playing with these guys outside of the majors. I just don't know how you can have an event like the Liv has that's so different and use points, and I'm not saying this is the direction they're going in, and go, okay, you've earned the points with the tournaments we have, so you can play now in events, elevated events on the PGA Tour, or even qualify for the FedEx Cup. I don't see how that's even possible.
Yeah, and I think that's the side of the negotiations that is probably taking the most time. What happens to the players that went to Live? What happens to those events, if there even exist? The business terms are almost set in stone because the PGA Tour already did a deal with a group of North American investors earlier this year. Right. The business principles are set. The valuation of PGA Tour Enterprises and the number of shares, the board seats, all that sort of stuff is laid out. So it really comes down to, I believe, the transition back together as two leagues into one. How do the events fall out? How do their players come back? How do our players feel about that? All those sort of things, I think, are what's holding up the negotiations.
All right. What we care about is August 14th through the 18th,
All
the
right.
FedEx St. Jude Championship. How are ticket sales going right now?
It's going really well. City of Memphis, again, I think that this concept of elevated events, the 70 cut line, not having a cut for 4 days really paid off last year. We talk a lot about, we're probably the only event, I believe, I can say with confidence, that have come to 3 playoff finishes in a row. So if you want to see something exciting, you got to be there on Sunday. And I think the city of Memphis and really the greater Mid-South, we saw a big amount of tourist impact last year coming to our tournament, and we're excited to keep growing that.
Can you tell where fans are, outside of the Memphis fans and the Memphis metropolitan area, can you get a grasp on where fans are coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually last year, if you look at just our regular grounds tickets, your general admissions that you purchased on Ticketmaster, for the first time ever, more fans came from outside of the Memphis DMA than inside last year.
Really?
Nearly 60% of the fans came from outside of a 30-mile radius around Memphis.
What do you guys do to promote that outside the area?
We target across the rest of the state, as well as over to the west. Our largest markets were really Jonesboro, Little Rock, Jackson, Tennessee, and Nashville. But if you think about the greater Mid-South, the closest comparable tournament to us is Atlanta. And so you've got a couple really marquee cities that are ripe for golf, love golf, and we're their closest opportunity to see the brightest stars.
Do you have a maximum amount of tickets that can be sold for each round?
We don't yet. Most tournaments are getting to that point. We felt we haven't totally reached that. Saturdays around there, we feel, it feels busy. But we're very mindful of, how much parking space do we have? How long are your lines at concessions? How are the bathrooms holding up? All of those logistical things help us make a decision of, is this too many people? Because it's a golf course. There's acres and acres. You could theoretically spread out, but we know the reality is that people don't. So we want to be mindful that people are still having a good experience and there's not too many people out there.
That's a good point. Yeah, I was just going to ask that question. You just answered it, that how you gauge whether or not there's too many people. And you talked about everything from the lines and the concessions, the bathrooms and all that. Anything new that people need to know about?
Yeah, actually, this year we're really making a focus on the 14th hole. We're calling it the Bluff at 14. If you were out there a month ago, I'm trying to remember if anything was built. But, if you think about 18, 17, 16, our finishing holes, the majority of that build-out is for corporate hospitality. We want somewhere where the general public can gather together, have a big crowd, if you will, get the excitement going. And 14, when you cross that street from 13 to 14, it's the last par 3. It's a really hard par 3. 14, 15, 16 is where we feel this tournament is usually won or loss. Always comes down to 18, of course, but you could play your way out of it pretty quickly with a bad stretch there. So 14, we're building out. If you can picture the hole, it's a pretty natural amphitheater. The right side of the water is just nothing but a natural slope. There's shade over there. And actually, we're building a dock that extends into the water on the right side.
Really?
So general public can stand over there with some nice shade, look across to the green, and have a really cool environment.
Until you build your subway system where everybody can move around easily, it's out there.
It is.
It's a walk. Is there a quicker way where a parking lot is closer to be able to get to that area of the golf course as opposed to starting at the clubhouse?
Well, we are trying to look at where our rideshare drops off, which is typically between 1 and 2, which is pretty far away from where we're talking about. So we are looking at transitioning that over there. At the end of the day, most guests are coming in right behind 18, so you're talking about a 2-hole walk, which in Memphis in August can be hot, but the goal there is that we've got shaded seating for general public. We've got Birdies and Bubbles with Chefs Andrew and Michael out there cooking up some incredible feasts. And FedEx is really supporting us, and they're going to have some fun giveaways. We're hoping to get some of the Memphis athletes out there, university, so that we can have some appearances from them. Generally just create a nice buzz out there on 14 for when our players get to that stretch.
Are umbrellas allowed?
They are. Umbrellas are allowed, as are chairs. You can bring everything yourself. We'll also be providing a bunch of Adirondack chairs along that hillside so that people can sit under the trees, nice shade coverage, get a good breeze coming off the water.
All right, best way for people to purchase their tickets?
Everything's on FedExChampionship.com. Go to our ticket page. Everything's through Ticketmaster. Again, buy it early, buy it now if you think you're going to go. And I always like to remind people that kids do get in free. 2 kids, 15 and under, can come in with a ticketed doll. Make sure you take advantage.
Last thing, how about corporate? I don't know if all the boxes are sold out, all the places like the pavilion you can go to that are pay areas. If they're not, and people want to inquire about that, how do they do that?
Yeah, still plenty of opportunities to get involved that way as well. Thanks for asking. Again, FedExChampionship.com. You'll make your way to our hospitality page. Reach out to myself. Reach out to our sales director, Robert Miller. We like to point out that you don't have to be a big private suite next to AutoZone, Blue Cross, FedEx, etc.
Mhm.
There's something for everyone. So even if you're a small business, there's ways to partner together with other businesses, be able to afford some tickets, and get that elevated experience that you're talking about.
It's one of the great events that we have in Memphis year in and year out, the FedEx St. Jude Championship, and then it's coming very soon, a month away basically, the 14th through the 18th of August at TPC Southwind, and he is the executive director of the FedEx St. Jude Championship. He's Joe Tomek. Again, you can follow him on Twitter, if you like, at Toey, Toey _ Jomek, Jomek. Joe, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Appreciate that. Month away, folks. Before we take a break, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, where you can dine in, carry out, drive through with no contact delivery, have any of those great services like DoorDash delivered to your home or office. They have specialized in catering for 4 decades. So as long as they've been in existence, they have been catering. They'll start you out as low as $8.99 per person for that delicious slow-smoked barbecue. When you head over for lunch today or for dinner, you get your entree, your barbecue sandwich, your pulled pork platter, whatever the case may be, maybe the reward-winning catfish plate. You can get a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99. They have lunch specials every day, party packs that start at just $7.49. 4 locations, Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. It's Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
For retro cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slung seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors from this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to DeSoto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with premium style and performance to enjoy every second. Never use the street as a racetrack with the law of the
As you know, summertime is here. And for most people, that means more activities, more golf, more biking, more of whatever you love to do. But if you're dealing with minor aches and pains, your more could become less. This is why I'm here to tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that helps fight pain naturally. For instance, I was sent Relief Factor to try, and I've been taking it every single day. I'll tell you what, I feel the difference every day. You see, instead of masking your pain, Relief Factor's formula is designed to help reduce or even eliminate made it. It's 100% drug-free, and it's been a game changer for so many people. So let's get after it this summer. Let's feel good. Let's do more of the things that we love to do. Don't let pain keep you down. Give Relief Factor a try and save on your first order. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easier to last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:29 the time. Final 31 minutes of this Monday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston and Zach Boyd. Eli off today. He'll return on Wednesday. Media days, SEC Media Days in Dallas, off and rolling. I saw a clip during the break. Nick Saban, who is now an analyst appearing on ESPN after all those years at SEC Media Days, he said for the first time, he was told to go back and get his media credential in his room. They wouldn't let him in. Now, I don't know if he's kidding, if he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes, or he's being serious. But he said it never happened as a coach. He never wore his media credential. He was Nick Saban. He's still Nick Saban. But Nick Saban, the non-active coach, is now just a member of the media and had to go all the way back to the room to get his credential. That's crazy.
It's wild to sit here and think to ourselves that the two greatest football coaches especially in my generation, two greatest football coaches in my generation are TV analysts right now.
Right. And I think you could stretch it and say the two greatest coaches in football, period. Not just your generation. I mean, some people will argue certain names. Vince Lombardi comes to mind, and some of the great college coaches that we had back in the day. But I don't think there's much of an argument that Saban is the greatest college football coach ever, and Belichick the greatest NFL coach ever. And you're right; they're both analysts. Saban doing those commercials for Aflac and others. He's got a personality. He's different. I really like listening to him. Belichick's going to have to win me over. Belichick is a curmudgeon. And I will be shocked if all of a sudden here comes this personality. Now, I've heard that he does have a personality with his friends, and he's different amongst friends. He's going to be on three different outlets on ESPN. The Manning cast he's going to be a part of. It's going to be a part of McAfee. Inside the NFL, he's going to be very visible. Belichick. He can't be a curmudgeon. He has to show personality. We'll see if he does. It's like Popovich. Does anybody think Popovich, when he retires, if he ever retires, that he would be a good analyst? No, I don't think you could think that, right? He's a curmudgeon, man. He plays with the media, and all of a sudden I'm not saying he's going to be, but how about if he does? All of a sudden now you're going to accept him as a personality? Now, if all of a sudden they show the personality, then maybe they were holding it back for all those years. They were playing a different version of themselves for the media. Belichick. A lot of times when I would listen to Belichick, to me, he was playing with the media. But whether or not he had a personality, I never knew. You couldn't tell. So he's going to have to win me over. Saban, though, I think is a different ballgame. I think Saban has a personality, and he's going to be terrific at what he does. But you can't argue the knowledge of those three guys that I just mentioned. So, Zach, College Football 25 comes out today. It's in there. Are you excited about that? Do you still play video games?
I still do.
Will you play College Football 25?
I eventually I will. I haven't had a chance to buy the game yet, but eventually I will buy the game and play it.
Well, it's just coming out. I mean, today.
Yeah,
I think today's the first
definitely.
day. But did you see the clips about Memphis?
I did.
Is that? I mean, I haven't seen one of these games. I haven't played one of these games in decades. So, how does it look to you?
It looks pretty good. I know a lot of people kind of was doing the compare and contrast from 2014, because that's the last time that they EA has produced a college football game, and that was with who was on the cover? Was that Denard Robinson on 14?
Maybe from Michigan.
Yeah, from Michigan. So I mean, I think to bring it back, I think it looks good from how the gameplay is for a lot of, because I know Mike Vick and Tebow were playing the game over the weekend. I think the gameplay looks really nice.
I mean, with the Memphis video I saw, it was really neat. It's not the refurbished Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, but that hasn't happened yet. But you didn't see me on the sideline, so it was very disappointing.
I mean, you're there. You just, you just gotta squint your eyes, kind of like,
okay,
like look.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd be very visible, be a big part of that thing. So anyway, I'm sure folks are gonna have fun with that. Greg Sankey started speaking at 9:05. Not sure if he's done yet or not, but speaking at SEC Media Days to kick it off, talking about a number of different topics. He said, without specifically mentioning the private equity-backed Super League proposals, says that there are ideas being sold or pitched to quickly somehow resolve college athletics issues. However, he added, there is no easy button, there is no magic pill. Interesting. Didn't bring up the Super Leagues, but we know that it's out there as one of the ideas of fixing the ills that exist in collegiate athletics, but specifically in college football. When I heard that first being thrown out there, the Super Leagues, I mean, right now to me, the Big Ten, the SEC are Super Leagues, but we're talking about a breakaway. We're talking about Super Leagues and who knows how many teams that would involve. And then the others that were left over would become the next tier. I've said that before about what we know now as the FBS becoming whatever, and then the rest of the FBS becoming more like the FCS, and then the FCS becoming more like the Division II, and like everything dropping down a tier with a Super League proposal. I don't know how it would work. I don't know if that's even something that could happen. But I think they're all in agreement. All the powers that be in collegiate athletics, Greg Sankey being right there at the top of the list, that changes have to be made. It's being reported that SEC Media Days will return to Atlanta next year and will be held at the College Football Hall of Fame. That is a great place. I've been there, and we've had the Super Bowl in Atlanta where we've gone to, both Eli and I, the College Football Hall of Fame, and to have the actual media days in the College Football Hall of Fame, that sounds like it's pretty cool. Really cool place. So again, all these comments are being made right now as we speak, as Greg Sankey is wrapping up his State of the SEC discussion with the media. And then 10 a.m., Brian Kelly, the LSU head coach, will be the first coach of the 16 to talk. Then at 11:35, it'll be Shane Beamer in South Carolina. At 1:50, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And then Clark Lee, the head coach of Vanderbilt, is scheduled at 3:20. We talked about soccer, and it was a big weekend for Spain as they won the Euro Cup for a second straight year, beat England 2-1. Also, a big weekend for Spain at Wimbledon as Carlos Alcaraz, at 21 years of age, wins Wimbledon for the second straight year. He's now gone back-to-back at Wimbledon and at Roland Garros. No surprise, the Spaniard is really good on clay. But that gives him 4 titles, 4 major singles titles at the age of 21, which is extremely impressive. You think about young guys who got off to quick starts like Bjorn Borg, Boris Becker, now Carlos Alcaraz. And he beats Novak Djokovic, who is denied a 25th major singles title. He wins in straight sets, 6-2, 6-2, 7-6. Djokovic was very gracious in the loss, saying that Alcaraz was just better than him on every point. But remember, Djokovic had just had surgery. To be able to come back from surgery and to make it to the finals at Wimbledon at his age, at his advancing age, is pretty impressive. Again, though, denied his 25th. He and Margaret Court have 24. But Carlos Alcaraz, 4 major titles by the age of 21, and now back-to-back wins at Wimbledon and at Roland Garros. All right, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, our final segment, we'll revisit what's going on in Las Vegas. The Memphis Grizzlies back in action tonight as they will take on the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team, 7 p.m. Central from Sin City. More on that and some other things in our final segment. You can hit us up on the Sports 56 listener lines at 901-360-8255. Shoot 360 Memphis, from preps to pros. This is just a cool place. And now there's 2 of them. Not only in Collierville, they have the new location in Cordova. If you want to perfect your shot, become a better all-around basketball player, you can do so. Learn the proper ways to shoot the ball using modern analytics at Shoot 360 Memphis. Parents, grandparents, coaches, this is the place for your sons, your daughters, your grandchildren, your players on your squad to go. But it's also great for adults, too. This is the same system that stars like Steph Curry use. It's a revolutionary training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with expert coaching to improve shooting skills. The facility is equipped with advanced shooting machines, and they provide real-time feedback on shooting accuracy and arc and depth. Players can track their progress and analyze their performance. Again, they've opened up their new location in Cordova. State-of-the-art. You can register now, become a member at either Collierville or Cordova, or a member at both of the locations. Go online to Shoot 360 Memphis. That's shoot360memphis.com to sign up, or call the great folks at Shoot 360 Memphis, 901-316-5500. You can do a tour, find out more about the facilities, and they have transitioned to monthly membership, so you're not bogged down with a long-term membership. It's where the preps and pros go to get their shot on. It's Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 at 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for an engagement ring that'll really knock your socks off? You need to be at Genesis Diamonds. It's such a privilege at Genesis Diamonds for us to work with the world's finest designers, to be able to offer brands like Takori and Viraggio, and we're excited to be able to give you some brands. Genesis Vice President David Cooper, the craftsmanship, the detail, the quality, the individuality is bar anything else. Genesis has been selected as an exclusive provider for every top designer from the to choose from. And if that's not enough, they can create something that's truly custom crafted, literally anything you can imagine. We have the capabilities to realize any dream. Things that other stores may not know. We've been doing for 3, 4, 5 years already. So don't settle for a mediocre scale design. You deserve. I'm David Cooper from Genesis Diamonds, and
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text are just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. And after looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. Ross Dellinger tweets out, so far, a large part of Greg Sankey's speech at SEC Media Days is about not ceding authority of college athletics to outside actors to resolve problems. That responsibility lies with us, he says. According to Ross, he is sending a clear message. We don't need external forces. We don't need the government involved. We don't need professional sports entities involved. We need to fix the ills, clean up what needs to be cleaned up ourselves. That is the point he is making. Alan is dialed in on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. You can follow it up at 901-360-8255. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Greg. The school year came to an end in June.
Mm-hmm.
All the sports. Now, we got 20 sports, and all 20 made the postseason, and 11 of them made the top 10.
All 20 sports at Tennessee made the postseason?
Uh-huh. And 11 of them made the top 10.
That's impressive.
They got a shirt my kid gave me, my son, wearing everything school. And you think we can repeat that?
Where are they as far as that cup is concerned? What's that cup called?
We were third.
They're number 3?
We were third. Yeah, we were number 3. We were 1 in the SEC, but third in the nation, and it was Stanford and Texas, and they have 30 sports.
Yeah, it was a great year for Tennessee. It was really cool yesterday as well with Christian Moore going as high as he did, and I expected him to go that high, and Tony Vitello was there.
No, he's number 1 in recruiting right now, Tony Patella.
For next year, for the 25
season? For next year, yeah. He's getting, he got 2 Ole Miss stars.
Did you see him, though, at the draft last night?
With the fur coat?
Was he wearing a fur coat? I didn't see.
Yeah, they got him a fur coat, the people up there on the stand.
He's a character, man, but he deserves it. He deserves all the accolades, man. Great year. All right. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was a banner year for Tennessee. Can they be that, I don't want to say outlier. They're certainly not an outlier. But when we talk about SEC football this year, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU. Remember, Missouri's got their quarterback back in Cook and Burden. They're a pretty good team. They had a great year last year. Texas A&M always gets the the accolades, sometimes not deserving. Jimbo's, of course, gone now. But what about Tennessee? Tennessee certainly is going to be a team to be reckoned with. Now, can Nico Suave come through big time for Josh Heupel's team? He has all the tools to do so. Do they have enough on that offensive line? Do they have enough in the secondary? But, yeah, that's another program right there that really could put a dent into some of these teams and their schedules. We had Brett on earlier, Brett Norsworthy, who's covering SEC Media Days for us in Dallas. And I asked him about basically the over-under teams in the first 12-team playoff. And he said 3 or under is a disappointment. So 3 is a disappointment. 4 or more, you'd be obviously ecstatic about. He said 4 or 5. I just don't see, even though people have talked about that, 4 or 5 from the SEC, then what are you talking about? 4 from the Big Ten? That's when you get to your super conferences that Sankey really didn't get into, but has been talked about. I mean, if you're getting 8, 9, 10 of the 12 teams, come on. Now, that's not even possible, is it? You got the Big 12 champion for sure, and you got the ACC champion for sure. And then you have the group of 5. So that's 3. So their max can be 9. The max would be 9. But there's no way. I don't see that happening, as good as they can be, the SEC and the Big Ten combining for 9. We had Pete Futak on last week, and he talked about where he thinks the SEC and some of the schools will knock each other out, and that the Big 12, he believes, will absolutely have multiple teams. Because you're going to have, how about if you have 2 11-1s playing in the championship, and that one comes out with 2 losses? Are you taking necessarily a 3-loss SEC team over them? I still think there's going to be an argument for it, but would the committee do that and set the tone early in the first year of the 12-team playoff?
Sounds like college football needs a net ranking, don't you think?
A net ranking.
Just like basketball.
That's the last thing I want to see is all those formulas now. They've changed. Remember we talked about it on Friday? They've added a few more. What's the one? The Bart Torvik?
Whatever. Yeah, that one.
They've added that one. That
bring
gets
back
complicated.
the RPIs, man. Bring it back.
No, I just want to. I can't wait until that committee has that discussion. Now we're not going to be privy to what they're saying behind closed doors, but they had that discussion over that 2-loss Clemson or that 2-loss Oklahoma State versus that 3-loss Ole Miss or that 3-loss Missouri or that 3-loss Tennessee or that 3-loss LSU or that 3-loss Texas A&M. I'm not saying they lose 3. I'm just saying that argument. Or even that 3-loss Penn State. Yeah, not saying they're losing 3. But all I know is this. The teams in the Big Ten and the SEC championship game, because it's not divisions anymore, so you're getting the top 2. Those 2 teams times 2, so those 4 teams are all getting into the playoff. Top 2 Big Ten, top 2 SEC playing in the championship are getting in. That's 4. Your Big 12 winner, your ACC winner, that's 6. Your group of 5, that's 7. The other 5, where's it coming from? Well, I think you're almost guaranteed you're getting a 3rd from the Big Ten and a 3rd from the SEC. Now you're down to 3. Now the argument would be for those 3. Where are they coming from? Are you going 4 from the SEC or Big Ten? Or are you going 2 from the Big 12, the ACC? I guess it would depend on the records overall, but also who they are.
Yeah. And name, at that point, and especially with the TV side of things, names matter. And that draws the biggest crowd.
Names matter. And here's the thing. This is not the argument that we have every year in the NCAA tournament, whether you put in a 6th team or an 8th team from the Big Ten as opposed to a 2nd team from a smaller conference. Because the Big 12 and the ACC are not smaller conferences. They're just not as big and powerful as the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah.
So it's more of a legitimate argument. It's like, wait a minute. We have a second-place team here. Pick your team that's way more worthy than your third or fourth team in the SEC or Big Ten. But that's what I want to hear, that committee and their reasoning when they talk about who gets in as at-larges.
Well, you didn't play anybody good. It's like, who did you play on your schedule? Like, how would your conference do?
Peach Jam continues in North Augusta, South Carolina. All the teams are represented. I know Memphis assistant coaches were there. I'm going to assume Coach Hardaway, maybe I shouldn't assume, is there. Now, Coach, I know, will be later this week in Vegas, where I will be playing in his golf tournament. But for now, they're doing recruiting all around the country. John Calipari in his Arkansas garb, which really looks weird, looks strange, but they're all there checking out the future of college basketball at the Peach Jam. Again, tonight it's the Grizzlies and it's Dallas, 7 o'clock from Las Vegas. Second of 4 games for Memphis in the NBA 2K, the Las Vegas Summer League. Will Zach Edey play? I am on the record as saying he's not playing, that he won't play the rest of the Summer League. I hope I'm wrong. I hope tomorrow on the show I get to talk about Zach Edey play. But I don't think, if he doesn't play today, I don't know if he's going to play in the other 2 games later this week. And by the way, those games are back-to-back. They're Wednesday, Thursday. Hoping to catch a game when I'm out there. Wednesday or Thursday, he's not going to play both if he plays at all. But I'm thinking if he's going to play any more in the Summer League, he's going to play tonight. But I doubt it. I just don't think. You think he will? I'm not sure if he will. But again, that's tonight at 7 o'clock. Also tonight, the Home Run Derby. Gave you the odds earlier in the show. Pete Alonso, the favorite, at plus 300. The former Memphis Redbird, Adolis Garcia, plus 350. The long shot, Alec Boehm of the Phillies, with 8 All-Stars, by the way, for tomorrow night's All-Star game. 8 All-Stars. He's a plus 1,600. Who you got, Zach?
Let me go with Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt Jr. That'll get you a cool plus 600 if he wins. I'm going to go with Marcell Ozuna. Give me plus 450, third pick on the board, having a huge year. I'm going to go Ozuna.
Okay.
Speaking of Major League Baseball, again, we're at the All-Star break. Yesterday, a wild Sunday, the San Francisco Giants walked it off against the Minnesota Twins on a Little League home run. Mike Yastrzemski put one in the gap. Outfielder dove, misplayed it, went to the wall, round second, goes to third. Here comes the throw. It's in the dugout. He scores. A Little League home run, as they like to say. The Phillies, best record at the All-Star break, despite yesterday losing to the Oakland A's 18-3. A's hit 8 home runs. 8 home runs. They had one player who hit 3. And then they had our good friend of the show, Brent Rooker, who hit 2. And it is a crime that Brent Rooker is not on the American League All-Star team. He's deserving. Who is on the American League All-Star team? Corey Seager, playing for the home crowd in Texas. He has been added to the team as he replaces the injured Carlos Correa. Correa can't go, the Minnesota Twins infielder. So it's Corey Seager that replaces him. And again, Paul Skeens, if you missed that announcement, will be the starter for the National League. There's going to be a lot of eyes, I believe, on this All-Star game. Maybe better numbers than there have been in recent years. Let's just put it that way. That's going to do it for us today on this Monday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Thanks to Brett Norsworthy and Joe Tomek for joining us. Tomorrow, we're back starting bright and early at 7 a.m. We'll recap what's going on with the Grizzlies and the Summer League. We'll talk Home Run Derby and Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Brett Norsworthy from SEC Media Days, Day 2, will join us at 8:05. We'll talk plenty of golf with Mickey Barker, our golf segment, our weekly golf segment. Then Steve Sands is scheduled to join us from Royal Troon, which is the host site for the Open Championship, which begins on Thursday. For Zach Boyd and the vacationing Eli Savoy, I'm Greg Gaston. Stay tuned. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next. Have a great Monday, everybody.